Hey everybody, ReefGrrl here, and welcome to ReefGrrl Live. I am so happy you could make it. The whole idea here is to have some fun, chat, get some questions answered, maybe show off what you're doing, and get to know each other a little bit better. So sit back, relax, grab a drink. The stream is about to begin. Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. Here we are, first stream in the new year, so happy new year everyone. I'm in my fish room. I put some art on the walls to give you guys something to look at. Took the green screen away because I didn't have a space for it when I changed the layout. So that's what we have to look at today. So welcome all. And I hope you all had a great holiday season, given the constraints a lot of us are under. There's a heck of a lot going on out there, and we can escape from that tonight for a couple of hours. So let me say hi to everybody. We had Tony close UK Reef. Tony was first, as always. Welcome, Tony. Hello. And Hector's here, Calypso's Reefs. Welcome, Hector. Filipino Reefer is here. Hola. I don't know if I've seen you here before, but welcome. Doctor of Welsh Magic. Hey, Welshie, it's been a while. I see you have stuff going on. I've seen your Instagram with fish in quarantine and coming out of quarantine, and that's awesome. Oh, somebody just popped into the waiting room, so we'll do the hellos and then we will bring them in. Mermaid's Reef. Hey, Mermaid's Reef. There's Cue Ball's Reef. Good evening, Cue Ball. And there's Carlos 23. Hey, Carlos. Nice to see you. Then we have Bert Minshew. Hey, Bert. Nice to see you too. Filipino Reefer. My favorite girl too. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Mr. DKH is here. Hey, Marco. I hope you're doing well. We have Lynn, Reef Nerd. Welcome, Lynn. And Alex G's Aquarium is here too, taking a little bit of time out from all his mega building that's been going on. Looking forward to hearing about a little bit more of that. Jessica J. Hey, Jessica J. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. We also have Reef Keeper. Hi, Phil. Welcome. Glad you could make it tonight. Okay, that's everybody that has said hello. So, yeah, so it's been an interesting time the last few weeks, and I'll catch you guys up with that through the evening. But in the meantime, we've got Taryn's Little Ocean in the waiting room, and I know that Taryn has something special to show us. So I'm going to bring Taryn in. Hey, Taryn.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Cool.
Doing really good. Yeah, so I just want to show you my new fish that I got.
Nice.
I think you saw her on Instagram, but...
Yep. Nice.
Is that clear?
Yep, that's really good. Here, I'm going to make you full screen. There we go.
All right, so her name's Dolly. She's a gold nugget maroon. I just have my pumps turned off just because I also got a tiny lightning maroon, but he's up in the corner here.
Yep.
But he's super tiny. He is, I don't know, he's maybe like 3/4 of an inch, like between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. Just because she is a little bit feisty. So the person I got her from a person that specializes in designer clownfish. Mm-hmm. So I'd seen her on Facebook, like on like a local reefing group. So then I just like sent him a message, and then I said I would love to have a pair. So he tried a couple other fish with her, but it was kind of unsuccessful because she was a little bit feisty, and most of them were about like the similar size or maybe a little smaller. And I didn't want to chance her with anything bigger because I really loved her. I didn't want her to get injured at all. So
Mhm.
then he got this little tiny guy over here. But so far it's going good. They've been together for 9 days.
Ooh.
They're not like they're not always together, but overall there's been like very minimal aggression. She only chased him one time yesterday, and he just kind of shaked and circled around her. So I I'm hoping it's going to be successful. It's my first time with maroons, but yeah, I'm just keeping a close eye on them, and then I have like a breeder box should something go south and
Hmm.
he get hurt or something. But I don't anticipate it because it's been 9 days now, and they're starting to get more comfortable together.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah,
That's
there's
cool.
not much in this tank, but I mean, except this mushroom I stole from my other tank.
Oh, you'll get
So,
there. You'll get
right? Actually,
there.
it's actually kind of cool having two tanks now because, well, when I started my first tank, I guess just over a year ago now, I literally didn't know anything. I was like, okay, like how do you mix salt? And then this time I kind of semi knew what I was doing. So, and then I was like, okay, like I could take this out of my other tank. And I stole some of my cleanup crew from my other tank. And um, yeah, so it's kind of plain right now, but I got some snail legs on here too, so I'm actually kind of hoping that they hatch, but
Ooh.
I don't know. They're the Sirtith snails, I guess. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're literally my favorite snails because they go in the sand and then they also eat. I actually had a little bit of a diatom bloom in this tank, and it was kind of bad, so I stole a couple snails from my other tank, and it's pretty much gone. There's like a little bit left on the sand, but overall, I was pretty impressed. I put three snails in here, three Sirtis snails, a Nasarius, and like a tiny hermit crab. So I think that was just enough to keep it at bay. But
Nice.
but
Good.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. I just wanted to show her. She's kind of cute. She's
Yeah.
actually like awesome. So
Yeah. We've already got some comments about that. Hey, Will's Aquarium. Nice to see you here. And Tina's Reef. Hey, Tina. I hope you're doing well and that your tank's getting a little bit back on track. Scotty Damron. Hi, Scotty. Alice Holbert is here, and she, when she saw your fish, she went, "Oh my God, LOL, Chubba, so cute." Oh,
yeah,
love my maroons.
she's huge compared to him. Like when I saw the videos, they didn't look that much size difference. Oh, actually, she's kind of chasing him now. But yeah, she's pretty big. But I think with anything bigger, um, they would have fought more back with her. And she's kind of like she ignored him for the first few days, and she definitely knows he's there, but she's obviously not threatened by him. So
Yeah.
as long as he can just grow a little bit more, like he's eating really, really well and feeding them. I'm probably overfeeding them, but you know, that's what I do. So,
I like my fish fat. So there you go. I'm with you
right?
there.
So I'm feeding them like mice, as brine shrimp, clanus. They actually eat some pellets. I don't feed a lot of pellets. I don't know why. I just never really have, but she must have ate pellets like with like whoever like the person that had her before because she
Mhm.
went right to them. My other fish don't really care for them, but um yeah, so that's why I'm feeding them, and the little guy's eating a lot, and actually like he's been staying a lot near the top, but today he was like free swimming, so I feel like he's getting more comfortable, but he's
Right.
super tiny. I think he's only like 4 months old, but and then she's just under a year. Like she's still white, but she's gonna turn gold. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I love
Beautiful.
her. Have you
Philip,
had? Sorry, go ahead.
no, I haven't had maroons or tomatoes or Clarkies or any of the more feisty ones. But a lot of people, I love the maroons. I love the maroon, the lightning maroons. I think they're gorgeous. And I remember the first time I ever saw one, it was amazing. But I kind of look for fish that I hope are not going to cause trouble
Yeah.
because I have such a mixture. Filipino Reefer says he got the gold band maroon clowns.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
cool.
they're pretty. They're really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this little guy's a lightning. Like you can't really see his patterns that much, but he's got some pretty nice markings on him. And once he grows, he's gonna be like a pretty nice fish. So,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
and I'm not putting anything else in here with these guys, so I'm not worried about like if she were gonna pick off anybody else or
Sure.
anything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, Travis. All fun and games until they draw blood. Blood. Yeah. Glad to see you here. Acro Breeder. Hello. Alice says, my maroons dominate. LOL. Love them. Cool. Bert Minshew. Oh, come on, Bert. Don't say that. Awesome maroon, but the others seem like fish food. Come on. My Willie and Tilly. The Tilly was supposed to be a half and half. So Darwin with the front half orange and the back half black. And now the only thing that's left on her that's orange is her face. So I think she's just a late bloomer. But the fish I got to go with her, Willie, um, did I say Tilly? Yeah, Willie. He's an extreme misbar Darwin. And I really love the pattern on him. And mine are just tiny. I think they were like an inch and a bit when I got them. And they've probably grown about a half an inch. So they're doing well. Jeffrey Hammer says, nice clown.
thank you.
Cool. Oh, hey, Nat King Reef. Yeah, everybody's saying hi to everybody. I just want to say hi to anyone I
Yeah,
missed.
absolutely.
Oh, geez, that's good news, Tina. Glad the foot reconstruction worked. Foot and ankle's finally stable. Oh, that's awesome. You're on the way. Well, Bert said he had a giant maroon that drew blood. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I got myself into, but so far she's been like I've cleaned the tank. I put a couple things in there and she hasn't bothered me, but I mean it's only been 9 days. But for me, I just like I always accept animals for what they are, right? So I know that, she's gonna be feisty. She's probably gonna end up being like
Yeah.
a little bit more mean, but it is what it is. And I'm not planning on putting anything else in here. I'm keeping a close eye on the little guy. Like honestly, she hasn't been attacking him or anything. I would have intervened at that point because the reason I'm in this hobby is just because like I cherish all life, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely like that's I was like, okay, if something goes bad, I'm just gonna set up another tank and
And move, yeah.
then
Oh,
right.
hey, Method, glad to see you here. And T40 is here. What up? Miss you. Thanks, T. I missed all of you guys too. It was kind of an odd holiday season. I don't know. I guess everybody's so busy, and I think I was away for what, 3 weeks maybe. I could have come back on January 2nd, but I really wasn't sure what was going on with around here with just stuff, especially in the new house. We're still getting things organized, and yeah, it's endless. Hey, Johnny Martinez, Happy New Year, ReefGrrl and fellow reefers. Praying everyone's safe and doing well. Yep, back at you, Johnny. Oh, Alice says she hangs her Pandora bracelet on the side, and they attack that while she cleans. So there
That's
we
a
go.
good tip.
Distraction. B Speeg. No nems for your clowns. I can't remember if you said early on that you were going to get a nem at some point for here.
Yeah, so the whole like point of this tank is this going to be an anemone tank, but it's a fairly new system. So I just got these guys 9 days ago, so I'm definitely going to pack this thing with anemones. But for right now, I just wanted to kind of get them more used to each other, and just I wasn't sure if adding anemones would make her more territorial before she's like fully accepted him.
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of holding off. Plus, it's a newer system. It's fully cycled and everything, and most of the stuff came out of my existing tank, but I think I'm just gonna wait a little while. I don't know if you have any like advice on that. You don't have anemones in your tank, right? No.
I'm afraid of anemones, and that goes right back to the very beginning when I had my first tank, because that's what got me going with corals, was trying to find something for the little tiny clown to live in that came with the tank. And the research that I did at the time kind of scared me off because of how they move around, and So I just have stayed right away. If I could have a tank dedicated just to anemones and didn't have to worry about them moving, that is really appealing. I could see how that could be beautiful. Like her nano tanks, I think, has
Oh yeah.
that tank is just a stunner. Oh, hey, poor white man. I was about to send some pictures, only 10 a.m. We're closed up quite a bit. And you're going on vacation, you told me. So, yeah. Oh, well, we're going to be around for a while. So, you could wait till they open up a bit. Jessica J says, if I move my hand quickly in the aquarium, Homer will bite my hand, clownfish. If I move slowly, he doesn't bite. I have to say, Sunny and Cher were gentle little souls. And the only time Cher ever went for me was when I was trying to put an algae clip down the side of down on in the tank, down in the water on the glass when she had eggs. She became very territorial and she would take a run for my hand and just kind of bounce off of it. But they were our Darwin's Ocellaris. They were so gentle. And when I was working around them, they would just kind of do their thing, whatever. Never ever went for me unless there were eggs in the tank.
I have a
Danny
pair.
7049, hello. Sorry, Taryn.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah. 6 months. Oh, Tony Close says 6 months before adding anemones. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I've seen that too. I'm not sure honestly if I'm gonna wait that long or what, but I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. But I do have a pair of Darwins in my other tank too, and they're like super gentle. There's
Mm-hmm.
actually nothing aggressive in there, but I did have a tail spot Blenny that would literally bite me anytime I like tried to do anything. And the first time I was expecting it to be the clowns, and I was like, oh my gosh, the clowns bit me, but it wasn't. It was him, but it
Little
actually hurt, and he's
devil.
so tiny. But
Yeah, Dr. Welsh Magic said his Ocellaris are awesome except when they have eggs, but his frostbites thinks his hand is food if it breaks the surface of the water and treat it as such. They're pit bulls. That's hilarious.
she's definitely feisty, but I mean, she's really beautiful, so I don't care. I'll deal with it.
Well, Filipino Reefer says he loves NEMS, he or she, and has had no issues since day one. The issue was me. Yeah, yeah. As a reef keeper, I have no issues with my tank. The issue is me. Probably true. Well, yeah. Tina said her tank suffered a massive crash during her healing, I guess after her surgery, but her fish survived. Yeah, that's good. That's a good kind of motivation to keep your fish going.
How's your system coming along, Cindy?
Not bad. It's one of those things that like feels like it's been really, really slow. And I have a feeling a whole bunch of things are going to happen at once, and it's going to start moving pretty quick from now on.
Yeah. Well, the
Uh,
planning and everything, right, takes a long time because you want to
yeah,
research everything and make sure like you make the right decisions and then
yeah,
ordering stuff and then it's gonna all come together.
yeah. Well, my lights came this week.
Ooh.
So but I mean, my lights and a box of pumps, not the Deltex. They're not ordered yet, but they will be in the next day or so, and another pump. So, but I haven't even had time to get the knife out and open the box and do an unboxing. So the lights are sitting on my kitchen counter. They're huge boxes, and they've been there since like Tuesday because it's just crazy. I don't know why that happens, but you just get to doing things. And I took the Christmas tree down and put all that stuff away. And I'm going to my daughter's 3 times a week for an hour to look after the tank. Sometimes I'm there longer than an hour. And
For sure.
and the only saving grace right now is that, like with the lockdown and everything, is that where the tank is, I can go in through a separate door and I don't have to go into the main house. So
Oh,
we can
okay.
stay
That's good.
true to the terms of the lockdown, even though none of us goes out to work. You probably couldn't find two households lower risk than we are, but still, I'm sure a lot of people rationalize that way, and then they get anyway. So we're doing our best to just stick with the program, and I have to go there and look after the tanks, and so the days go by, and before you know it, it's Saturday night again.
Right? Did you get your rocks and sand delivered? I was chuckling about that when you were like, "Oh, the delivery guys are gonna hate me."
Yep. Well, I got let me think, 60 pounds, no, 120 pounds of the sand came, and about 30 pounds of the rock. But the other 120 is back ordered, and another 50 pounds of rock is back ordered. And get this, it got delivered to the house across the street.
Oh my goodness! Good way to meet your neighbors.
Well, and I felt so bad because it's like it's like an elderly couple. And the guy, and we were looking for it because the tracking said it was delivered. I'm going, what? Yeah. And so my husband looked out and he said, I think there's boxes on the porch across the street. So he was just, stepping out to take a closer look. And the old guy came out and he's looking at the boxes and whatever. So my husband kind of shouted out to him and said, I think they might have made a mistake. I think those are our boxes. And so the guy goes, oh, okay. And he's smiling. Well, then he went to try and pick one up. And it was like, oh my God. And well, I mean, they at least there's 30-pound bags of sand.
Oh my
So
goodness.
they put 2 of them in one box. Like it just, I don't know. So that's kind of, maybe that's where all my time goes. Because, you have to sort all of this out and then figure out which set of clowns gets the follow-up phone call, right? Like, was it addressed correctly, or is it actually the delivery? So then you spend that's where the time goes. You fritter it away, and then there's the ranting, walking around in a circle ranting. I don't know. So Lynn Reef Nerd says to let her know when you're ready for a NEM.
Oh.
And Lynn,
Are you in Canada, Lynn?
I think Lynn is in Massachusetts, maybe that area. But anemones aren't prohibited to cross the border because they don't have a skeleton.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
Shipping could happen. I mean, I don't know if I'd want shipping right now, but at some point, Method is asking for a full tank shot. If you could maybe turn your phone.
It's literally nothing special. Like, it's literally just rocks, a red mushroom, and 2 clowns. I do have a nicer tank upstairs if you guys have watched my other videos or follow me on Instagram. But I have a 29-gallon BioCube upstairs. That's a Reef, but it's going to bed now. Like, the lights are ramping down. So, so it's literally... That's all it is. It's nothing. It's kind of plain. And when I first started, is this full screen or is it better the other way around? Sorry.
It's up and down still.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Is that better?
That's
a little bit. Okay.
We can see all of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so there's there's 4 snails in here, a hermit crab, a red mushroom, and 2 clowns. And I want to say 10 pounds of rock. The rock I actually really like. Now I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up, but I got it from Big Al's. It's a really, really nice rock. So the plan is anemones, but I am going to add some softies. Like, I'm going to add some more mushrooms to it, and just I'm going to steal some stuff from my other tank just to add in here and fill in here. But right now it's just the clowns, but I've only had them for 9 days, and I've been literally just watching them for every second to make sure that the nugget's not bullying the lightning. So the first day I got them, my family was like, okay, you spent 6 hours taking pictures of fish.
So have you signed up for the cloud storage plan monthly yet? I swore I never would, but I did not long after I got my phone.
Okay, that's actually on my list to do this week because I keep deleting stuff. I've had to delete apps off my phone. I'm like, oh, I don't need this anymore. I need more videos of my fish. And then I have a DSLR that I can load my photos onto my phone with, so it's easy to share online and that. So that takes up a little bit more space too. But yeah, so I mean, the tank's nothing special, but it is going to be awesome once I get anemones.
Mhm.
And then I'm
Mhm.
sure that the maroons will host because from what I've heard, they love anemones. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my
Good.
plan with it. But
Cool.
but yeah, so sorry guys, it's nothing exciting. There's a little like blue leg hermit crab there bumbling around, but I mean, I'm super happy about the diatoms that they just went away so quickly. But once I added those snails, they literally took care of it in a couple of
Yeah.
days. So
It's amazing, isn't it, how quick that happens? You they take so long to develop, and then all of a sudden, as soon as there's something eating them, they just disappear.
I was really surprised. My other tank, I really didn't get that, but I mean, I was my first saltwater tank, so it was literally like, okay, this is what you do next. You have to add a couple cleanup crew, and I was really like, I never got them, and then this tank, it was like I woke up one morning and it was like full ugly, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even take a picture. So I stole those snails, and then yeah, then now it's good. There's just a tiny bit on the sand, but that's it.
The Mermaid's Reef says her nano will be a NEM once all the corals get moved. Old tank couldn't have waited a week to have the top brace break. Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's my worst nightmare because the holding tank that I have everything in right now is a 90 and it's one of the ones with the brace across the middle. That's why I have that horrible shadow, which my PC Rainbow it has actually, I thought it wasn't growing until I looked at it from the top down. It had one branch when I put it there. It now has three, and the color is starting to go from a bright green. It's starting to change to a bit of a yellow. So I'm and it's in the shade of this brace. So I can hardly wait to get things moved. Okay. So, hey, Taryn.
Yes.
Oh, good. My I don't know if you noticed, I don't have my headphones tonight.
Oh, I
Okay.
didn't notice, but now I do.
Yeah, I have a streaming thing that I can plug into the computer, and I've got things in my ears. And the problem with it is it cuts out after silence for a little while, and
Oh, okay.
I just had to push the button, and then it was quiet, and I went, I don't know, like, are people asking me questions and I can't hear? Anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. I
Let's
like your
see.
pictures behind your desk.
Oh, these things?
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I got those at the place where we had to go to pick the lights for our house. And
Okay.
we're
That's cool.
wandering around the place, and we were there for quite a while. And this was in June, so it was still like, mask wearing and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't as things weren't as tight as right now. And I had to go to the bathroom. So I said, "Oh, where's the bathroom?" He said, "Down there. You turn this way, you turn that way, go past." It's like it was way in the back of the place. So I get there and I turned on the light and I went in and I looked. These things were on the wall in there.
Wow, that was
And
meant to
I
be.
went, "Oh my God." So I went out and I said, "I love those things. Do you like, are they for sale or do you have them for sale?" And they kind of looked at each other and she said, "Oh, I kind of forgot they were there." So they went back and they looked. Well, they wiped them all down for me because they were pretty dusty, and they sold them to me like really cheap. So
That's awesome.
they've been in bubble wrap at my daughter's place for like 6 months, and we finally got them and brought them over. And they're for this room. Like all the colors look really good, and so I said to my husband, let's put them up on the wall right there, and then that can be the background instead of the green screen. So thank you. I love them. I think they're
Yeah, they're awesome.
awesome. Yeah, and just the colors and it all looks really good. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Blue carbon. Did Keith build the shelf yet? Blue carbon. John and I had an Instagram chat about the layout and the details of the sump in the basement because Blue Carbon Reefing, if you haven't checked out his channel, he has a really big system. I think he's got something like, I might get this wrong, John, 1,200 gallons of water in his system with a 360 display upstairs and then the basement sump. And of course, I'm doing the basement sump. So we laid out all of our stock tanks and we put them in the positions that we thought would work. And so, we had this call, and I was showing it to him, and right away he pointed out something that might be a problem. And so now, John Keith has the wood, and we've got paint, and we've got plywood and all of that. And yeah, he's going to build an actual stand for it so that it's completely independent of the 150, because we had a shallow 50 sitting across the 150 stock tank on a board. And John said his 150 actually deflected out by an inch or two with the water in it. And so the concern was that at some point it might, with 500 more pounds of water resting on the edges, it might push down and we'd have a big disaster. So he suggested building a stand for it or putting it on a shelf of some type. So yeah, that's happening. We've ordered bulkheads to do that plumbing. Oh, I don't want to lose my place in the thing here. Sorry for dead air.
No, that's fine.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I want to say hi to everybody, and I don't want to miss any questions or comments or people are making.
I know
It's hard, yeah. So we're getting the bulkheads on Monday, and there's very little pipe required because of the way we have everything laid out to connect it all together. And so I don't know. We've got the water tanks all cleaned out and leak tested. And the next step is going to be to start making RO water. And then, of course, after that, I have to make salt water. And during that time when the water's being made, because we're going to be making 125 gallons, so it's going to take a couple of days, we will get the plumbing done. And I'm crossing my fingers and hoping I can start putting rocks in the sump area that are in the rock tote, the ones that I'm curing, plus some media from the canisters. If I pull a bag of media from each one and bring it, and some Kato, and just start it running and just see what happens with it, and see if I can get it cycled by maybe the end of the month or the first week in February, and then move the contents of the 90, my reef, over here along with the contents of Mollywood. So that's kind of the plan for the next however many weeks it takes. But that's what I mean. It seems to have taken so long to reach this point, and I have a feeling things are going to start going really fast from here, because it's like all of a sudden you have everything you need, and it's just, okay, what do we do first?
Are you keeping Mollywood like independently, or are you gonna like put it in the 300 with the rest of your stuff?
My plan is to amalgamate it with the rest of the stuff in the 300.
Okay.
That's the plan, and that's going to depend a lot on how much of the coral I can get off of the rocks that are in there, because I don't have plans to use the rocks that are in there unless I can get all of the vermeted snails. They're not many. There used to be a lot, but I swear by bumblebee snails. People aren't patient enough to wait for them to do their job, but they do ultimately do their job. You're not going to see everything gone next week like you would with peppermint shrimp or a copper band going after Aptasia. But over the course of months, when you stir up your tank and you see the cloud floating through the water, there are fewer and fewer and fewer webs from the vermetids because the bumblebees go after them. And yeah, so that's the problem. There are vermetids in there, and if I can't get them off, then I'm not going to use the rocks. And if I can't get the coral off the rocks, then I'm just going to scrape what I can, maybe get a chisel stuff off. I don't know. And I'm not bringing the hairy mushrooms over because those things take over the world. They're killing other corals in that tank. I really don't appreciate it.
No,
So,
you don't like. I don't have any hairy mushrooms. I just have like regular mushrooms and like a Recordia, but
yeah, these are green hairy mushrooms, and they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want an entire tank of green hairy mushrooms because they've killed everything else, right? Yeah. Oh, hey, ATF in the house. Welcome. He said he got caught up in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is on right now. Yeah, that would do it. Poor white man. Wish my old Nem was still healthy. Large component. Blue nail polish is. Oh, wow.
Wow.
So your
I don't wear
friend.
nail polish, so
Yeah, no, me. I don't even use hand lotion. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah. LOL. The UPS guy says, WTF. Just have rocks in it. LOL. I laughed and said, yes. Now he comes to the door and says, no rocks today. Oh, well, I mean, it was just it wasn't bad enough that it was so heavy, but it had to go to the wrong house. And then I was waiting for another parcel, and it was the same thing. The neighbors across the street got the card, the Canada Post card, in my mail that was supposed to go in my mail slot, was put in their mail slot. So it got, and I mean, the mail pickup thing is, I kid you not, 5 houses away. And could the Canada Post bring it to the house? Oh, no, 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 no. They put the card in the freaking thing because the 2 boxes below probably were already occupied. So we have to go across town to get it. I know, first world problems, but it was just really annoying. And so it turns out it was the post office that wrote the wrong house number on the card, because that was another case, figuring out which set of clowns gets the follow-up phone call. Well, there is no point in calling the post office because,
No.
well, they don't have to do anything about it anyway. And they do their best. And I really am trying to keep in mind that the level of what's going on right now, as far as deliveries and everything, they keep talking about it, is unprecedented for a lot of these delivery companies. And, I appreciate the job they do, and it can't be easy. And we're not, because we're in a new house, if they put our address in GPS, it doesn't
Yeah.
show up. So we get phone calls. We've had calls from FedEx and from Purolator. Amazon finds us no problem, but the others seem to have trouble. And so we just say, okay, keep driving. You're on the right street. Just keep driving until you start seeing new houses, and then keep going another 2 blocks until you start seeing houses that aren't finished building yet, and keep going another block and you'll find us. So,
Yeah, I was going to ask if that might have been part of the problem, is that being a new build, if you're not like on the GPS or something. But
we're
yeah,
not yet.
Canada Post is definitely, like, in my business right now, I'm just doing e-commerce, so like I deal with Canada Post every day, and they are definitely like, I mean, for me, I see it every day, so they are definitely like overwhelmed. Like every day is like Christmas for them right now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Not in a good way.
not in a good way. I mean, it's good that they're working and everything, but it's a very different world right now.
Oh, hey, Travis. I finally caught a stream, but unfortunately I caught COVID. Oh, no, I saw that on Insta. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. You take care.
Yeah, sorry to
Sure
hear
don't,
that.
you don't want to take that stuff for granted. So take care of yourself, and I hope you feel like, I hope you get over it soon, because that is not that is it terrifies me. But I'm in a couple of different risk groups. So that's why I love the fact I'm a homebody. I'm very happy to stay home.
Yeah, I keep saying like, well, my life really hasn't, I'm still working, but like my life honestly hasn't really changed because of it, because like I work and then I just come home and do my regular life and stare at my fish tanks and take pictures of
Mhm.
fish. So but I think that outlet of like just going out to work too helps, right?
Yeah, it's true. Mermaids Reef says she just deleted 2,000 fish pictures from her iCloud storage. Oh my God.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No, and I can relate because, like, probably most of us do this. We take like 6 pictures of something, and we think, okay, I'm going to go and sit down and figure out which one of these is the best and delete the rest. Yeah, but you never do that.
No, you never delete them because you're like, oh, that one could be good in the future, or like, I
That's
don't know.
it's crazy. Broke Reef Man 45. Hey, how are you doing? Tony says, Taryn, glad you went for a swim through / cave for your aquascape. Yeah, it looks really good. I like that rock. I'm going to have to check Big Al's
Yeah,
because,
it
yeah, it's nice.
I really like that the two on the bottom I have, literally the bottom is like I'm not like I haven't chiseled rock or like broke rock apart or done anything like that. So these two on the bottoms are actually completely flat, but then like it's just there's a lot of spaces. I mean, this is going to be in an anemone tank, so there's not going to be a lot of coral placement, but
Mhm.
if I was going to do that, there is like just a lot of places to put it. So it wasn't the cheapest rock, but it wasn't the most expensive. Like the rock I started in my tank upstairs is kind of similar, but not as nice as this.
This beautiful. Oh, hey, Reefing with O. How's it going, Seymour? Glad to see you. Happy New Year. Filipino Reef says, I'd like to join, but I got a little girl juiced up laughing. Yeah. Oh, it's fun. Hey, Diacanthus Reef. Um, you do know how big that clown gets. 180-gallon coming to your house soon.
Oh, I know. I have a couple other tanks too. Like I have two other like I have a freshwater tank and then I have another empty tank too. So these guys are just super tiny right now, which is why they're in here, but I always take care of any animals that I have and make sure that they have a proper habitat. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
do know that they're going to get big. Thank
Yeah.
you though.
You basement people are lucky. Would love to have a basement, not enough to move though. Yeah, Phil lives in Southern California, I think.
Oh, yeah, cuz they
Yeah.
don't have basements. I
Yeah.
like this
Same as
tank's
Florida.
downstairs, yeah. And I just started I'm turning my laundry room into like a mini, like, I don't know, kind of fish room, but without a fish tank. But
Mhm.
so I just got an RODI unit for Christmas, which I don't know why I had never bought it. It's not even that expensive, but I was just buying my water and mixing my own salt. But now, like, honestly, the novelty has never worn off yet. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why did I not get this in the beginning? I'm like, I'm just going to go make water. Like, I'm probably a nerd, but I mean, it is literally like I wish I had have gotten that in the beginning because just the hassle of going to buy water or like I always keep stuff on hand in case of an emergency. Like I have an empty tank and I keep like carbon, prime, all that kind of stuff and water. But now, like even if my like God forbid my tank were to like blow out, I could easily just like make water to put in my empty tank. So yeah,
It
I
makes
wish
you
I'd done
wonder,
that earlier.
like, why was it even a debate?
I know it wasn't even that much money, but I was just like, I don't know. I just felt like, oh, I'd rather buy coral or I'd rather buy whatever, right? Like something that feels more enjoyable, but I'm like still loving having a unit. So,
Mhm.
and it
Yeah.
was easy to install. I'm not that techy, but it was like super easy to install. So now I'm just going to bring, like, I have a closet upstairs that I put all my fish stuff in, but I'm gonna bring it down and like I'm just clearing out some cabinets down there so it'll be all in one place, but not as much as your stuff. I just watched that last video where you cleaned up. I was like, whoa.
And well, you got to remember too that that's the culmination of 10 years worth of collecting
Yeah.
stuff. And plus the habit I have of trying something and using it for a while and then finding out that I want something different. And so I clean it up and I put it away. And I think I ended up finding 3 or 4 different skimmers in all of that stuff. It was
Wow.
just and you think about it. I'm sure I've wasted a lot of money over the years buying things that ended up being not really right for the job. But I guess the flip side of that is I learned a lot from it because finding out why something wasn't quite right for the job taught me the kinds of ways you have to evaluate something before you make a decision. I make much better decisions now than I used to, and it just is experience and
Yeah.
wasting a lot of money. Yeah, Filipino reefer. I wish I got my own place now with the basement. That was one of the considerations when we were looking for a house and we were looking at house plans was what the layout was so that we looked at already built houses, and there was only one that was remotely okay. And even so, it had a finished space underneath, and we would have been having to take part of the ceiling down and whatever, which we would have done if it would have worked out. But it didn't work out, which is kind of good because now we have this place and it's just perfect. And that's a video I'm going to do, is the things that we had to have done to this house to accommodate what we want to do with the big tank here. The extra support. There's the beam that is here is twice as deep as the other beam. Like one is a 5-inch beam. I think this one is like a 10-inch or 11-inch beam. Like that kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to do a video about that, because these were all things that we really didn't consider until we got into this. And it was the builder that did all of that design. We told them what the goal was, how much weight we were looking at, where we were going to put it. And they came up with the design and the sort of engineering to accommodate it. So I think it's going to be worth just even a short video to say, okay, if you're thinking of doing this, this is some of the planning or some of the stuff you need to look into. Yeah. Oh, Dr. Welsh Magic, 2:30 a.m. I'm fading fast. Night all. Night Welshie. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. It's crazy late over there.
In Europe, right?
Yeah, he's in Wales, I'm assuming, in the UK. Alice says she loves bumblebees. Yeah, you know what's really cool, Alice? I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you look in your tank during the day, you might see a bumblebee tucked into a little crevice in a rock. But when you look at night and the corals around it are closed up, they're everywhere. They just kind of hide themselves away during the day, and they're hidden from sight by like my open fox coral or the couple cinerinas that I have if they're up against the rock. And when they're closed up at night, there's all the little bumblebees. They find these little nooks and crannies, and I'm sure that's why the green wrasse hasn't made snacks out of most of them. Oh, hey, Just Nano Reefs. Glad you could make it. Phil. Poor Reefing with O. Everybody always used to tease him because during the live streams he'd be doing dishes. Back in the day when Dave had his live streams, O would be on there doing dishes. And Seymour, you had the tech Thursday night tech talk live streams. I always liked those. So if you ever have time and inclination, it'd be kind of cool if you were able to start that back up again, especially now that there's a couple of different auto testers coming onto the market or have been out for a little while that people have been using. It'd be really cool to look into some of that stuff. So just saying. Who else is here? Alex, you tip the mailman with some maple syrup. Not yet, but it's not a bad idea. I
Right?
did try it before we moved from the other house, like a year ago Christmas. I bought a bunch of Tim Horton gift cards, which they were just like $10 or whatever. And I did my best. I only managed to give away 2 of them because the delivery guys, they come up, and by the time you see that they're there and you open the door, they're already down the driveway and in the truck again and on the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not easy. Oh, hey,
I
Paris Rose. Nice to see you. Sorry, Taryn.
no worries, no worries.
Pappy Reefers here. Fish rooms equal bigger displays. Yeah, blue carbon reefing. John says basements equal fish rooms. Just saying. And Alex says fish rooms equal bigger displays. And Alex is going to show us. Hey, Sharbuckles Reef. Cool. Nat King Reef, Taryn, he says his RO is 7 stages and he's got it in the laundry room.
Mine's only 4, but it's still 0 TDS, which I also love. Like, I don't know. I tested my tap water and I think it was like 233. And then when I tested it after went through the system, it was 0. So I don't know. I felt like that was pretty impressive. It's just an RO buddy, but
that is really good. Yeah, the RO buddy was the first one I had, and I was given it for my birthday by my daughter after a tank crash that happened while we were on vacation. And I had hired someone to look after my tank, and the less said about this, the better, because it still upsets me. I cried when I saw it when I got home. And he had done a whole bunch of things that he never asked me if he could do. And it was pretty much a nightmare. I had dinos, I had everything in that tank when I got back from this 1 week vacation.
Oh
And it
no.
took me 3 months to get it cleaned up again. Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I'd only been in the hobby a couple of years at that point. And every night I took a little gravel vac, the ones that are like the tube with batteries, and then they have a little bag on the end, and
Yeah.
the thing goes down. I took that thing and I cleaned the sand, and I took a baster and I got all this crud off the rocks, and then I put clean water in, and eventually I realized it was a mistake to put clean water in. So from the reading I was doing, so I just put the water through a filter sock and put it like, oh man, 3 months every night I did that because I was working at the time, and it
Wow.
was awful. It was just awful. Hey, Ronnie's Reef. Taryn, Tony is wondering if you have a particular species or type of anemone that you want.
I think I'm just gonna do bubble tips, honestly. Like, I think I was researching online because I guess certain clownfish will host certain anemones, but maroons, like, they'll host a couple different kinds. But I think I'm just gonna stick with bubble tips to stay on the safe side. I love carpet anemones, but I will never own one just because
Hmm.
of the chance of them like eating fish, and I also don't have a system big enough for them. So I think I'm just gonna fill it with bubble tips, like different color ones. I'll probably just start with some basic ones to start, and then I saw online these black widow ones that look super cool. So that's kind of my plan right now. And then I'll probably just maybe keep some mushrooms in here or something else. We'll see once I get them and they grow out. I'm going to buy two when I get them just to be sure that there's one for both of them, even though I think the nugget's going to probably steal both of them and be like, this is my house, get off my lawn kind of thing. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Method says he's making some RODI during the stream. It's a piece of equipment worth having. Paris Rhodes, I'm here for that superb trachea. Okay, what do you mean, Paris Rhodes? Here in Greece, it's 4:47. Do you live in Rhodes? Because I went to the Rhodes Aquarium when we were in Rhodes some years ago, and that place was so cool. It's all underground, and it looks like they use ocean water in their displays
Wow.
just because of the way it's built.
I've only ever been to Ripley's Aquarium, and actually, when I went there, it was before I was even in the hobby. Like, I've always had freshwater, but it was before I'd even gotten into the hobby because I was always intimidated to start saltwater. But um, I'll be exciting to go back now that I kind of know a little bit. But
Right. Yeah. Oh, hey, Pappy Reefer. And Charbuncle, I said hi. There was somebody else, Ronnie's Reef. Hey, Ronnie's Reef. Yeah, you're so right. You have an entirely different perspective when you get when you know a little bit more about what's going on and what it takes even to keep these places running. It's
right.
just crazy.
Like when people come over and they're like, "Oh, like your fish tank's cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, but do you even like?" I don't know.
Yeah.
They can't understand like not this one, but my tank upstairs, like kind of what goes into it, right? Even though it's still a small tank, but still.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. Oh, hey, David L. Poor white man says he learned a valuable lesson the other day. Snails in my tank hate corals. All the bases have been crushed off by the snails. The new acro is small, now it's dead. Oh, that's interesting. They must be looking to eat something that's either around the coral or on the frag plug. That's crazy. Yes, ReefGrrl, far as your flooring, super big. Some people don't take the time to do the math. 1 gallon of water is 8.3 pounds. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, we calculated out the weight of the stand and the glass, um, and then the amount of water would be in the neighborhood of around 4,200 pounds altogether.
Wow.
So 2 tons. And I know there are cars that don't weigh 2 tons.
That's
So
like 4 horses parked in your like fish room.
it's like you could park a car in here if you wanted to. Well, and the other thing is like this room is at the front of the house and the doors are right off the front hallway. So if anybody comes to see the tank, they don't have to go all the way through my house. It's like
Oh,
right
that's
there,
awesome.
right at the front door.
So this is the fish room that you're in right now. You're going to like you have a desk and a computer and stuff set up there as well.
It won't be staying here because where I'm
Okay.
sitting, I would be right in the front of the tank,
Okay.
because of where it is. My plan, because the doors are there, uh, once the tank is in here, I'm hoping I can just set the table up in the doorway and put the computer on it and have the actual tank behind me,
Oh, that was a good
on the
idea.
live streams. Yeah, if I can, because the main problem is going to be sound. Because I don't know what it sounds like now, but I've got like blankets hanging over and a carpet on the floor over here, and because I don't like it to be too echoey. So I don't know. I have to do some experimenting and see what I can come up with. Um, but that'll be nice if I could have that as a background. That'd be great.
How's Sparky?
Sparky's doing great. He's a lot bigger. The green wrasse every once in a while will take a run at him, but doesn't get very far. So yeah, he's. I really like him. Oh, poor my white man has sent me some videos. I will check that out. And Benny's Aquariums, if you're still watching, I did send you the link. It took me about 15 minutes to realize there was an email here, so I apologize for that. But hopefully you have the link now.
I haven't. I thought he deleted his Instagram. I couldn't find him on Instagram the other day, but maybe he's back
Oh, yeah, maybe.
or changed his name. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, there are a couple of names in here that I haven't seen before. Let's see. Support the floor joist in the basement with 4x4 PT. PT. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Oh, here we go. Has to go on a holiday in half an hour. Okay, so um, poor white man. Yeah, that's who this is. So poor white man. I can put your videos up, but I have to process them through iMovie and then export them as MP4s because StreamYard doesn't support the .mov extension. And I don't know if anybody noticed the intro was so much better quality because I finally figured out how to properly process iMovie into an MP4 to retain the resolution. So I think I'm going to have to try and bring that on next week, because I won't be able to do it now because it requires me doing different things with this computer. So yeah, I won't be able to do it tonight, but I will definitely take a look at these and process them through and upload them so that we can maybe look at them next time. So good. Thanks for sending those, and we'll take a look at them next time. Okay, let's just see. Mixing different. Okay. B Speak says mixing different BTAs can cause NEM warfare.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually a total newbie to anemones. I haven't really done too much research yet because I'm not ready to get them yet, but that is
Mhm,
good knowledge then. Thank you.
mhm. Yeah, good to know. And Ronnie's Reef says never had a problem with rainbows. Clownfish always go straight to them. So that's awesome. That's cool.
Okay. So even different colors, like is an anemone like I've seen like the rose bubble tip and stuff like that. I'm wondering if different colors are different or if
Yeah,
any bubbles. I don't know. I'll have to
yeah.
look that up.
And you could probably talk to her nano reefs because look at
Yeah.
all the different ones that she has, and she might be able to give you some tips on that
Yeah,
for
her
sure.
tanks are awesome.
Oh, they're beautiful. Paris Rose, I love tube anemone. I have two pink and purple, and I think is my favorite anemone. Oh, that's cool. And we have Filipino reefer in the waiting room. That must be Benny. Pappy Reefer has two rainbow BTAs, and his black clown will not go anywhere near it. Oh, pressure treated Alice. Yeah. Well, when I do the video, you'll see what they did with the joists. There's like five five joists or four joists side by side, and there's stud walls, and it just they did a really good job. Okay, poor white man. Have a great holiday, and hopefully we'll see you back here when you're back. Stay safe. Cool. All right, let's bring Benny in and see what he's got to show us that's new.
Happy New Year.
Hey, how are you, Benny?
Good, good, good. What is cracking? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to um fix my tripod here with the webcam.
Benny,
Um,
you never
but
said you changed your name.
I know,
I was
right? I
I was
changed my
looking for
name a
your
hundred times.
well, I was looking for you in the marine life and I was like, okay, maybe he's just gone, but yeah,
Yeah, someone
welcome.
had that name, and
Oh, okay.
I changed to my regular name, and then I say let me find another name out there, and I think maybe this is good for now.
All right.
But no, I just want to share with you guys what I got going on in reference to the clownfish. I got that little biter back there. Oh, trying to fix the. But every time I stick my hand into the tank just to move something or just to do whatever, that little clownfish right there, he's all over the place and he tried to bite me.
It's a
Yeah,
maroon, right? You have a maroon.
yeah, that's the little gold band maroon.
Okay.
So they were saying that I have two actually um, maroon fish in here, and one of the LFS said if it gets older, um, the white band turn into gold.
Gold.
So I'm not really sure if that's true or false.
It is.
It is, right? So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
go ahead.
Like my fish, that's the white one. It's a gold nugget maroon, but she's just like white with maroon fins. But like as she gets older, the white's gonna turn all gold. It's just when they're juveniles, they're all white. All the gold accents are white, so they don't turn gold till
Oh,
they're older.
I got you. Yeah, because I have that tiny little one underneath. So they all have their own anemone right there. So that's the little baby one. I think maybe that's the male clownfish. And then on the left, there's another um, anemone, uh, bigger. That's the female one. I think this is the same type of anemone that her nano Reef has in her tank because I actually went to the same store that she buys her um, anemone.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
But
cool.
in the daytime, I actually just turn on the lights just for everyone to see. Normally, my lights are off at 9 o'clock. Um, but normally that tangerine, whatever, anemone is about 3 or 4 times the size of that one. So if you see,
Nice.
I have nothing around here, no corals. At the daytime, that whole entire area right here is filled up with that one anemone.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice, and I like it. I like it so far.
Yep. Pappy Reaper says maroon clowns are jerks. And Alice says maroons equal shark cage. LOL. That's cool. Very nice. So Hector's in the waiting room. Do you guys mind if I bring Hector in?
Oh, that's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Hector.
Hello.
There's Hector. How are you?
Hey, how's everybody
Hey,
doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy late New Year. Yes. We missing
Yeah,
in action.
Actually, what we're missing right now is ReefGrrl's tank.
I know. Doesn't that
Oh,
suck?
I mean, we love looking at you. We love
The
you.
back
You're
end, the back
awesome.
end.
You're the best. But we're gonna have to, get some crayons
Pretty
and
soon.
post. Yeah, we're gonna have to. I see two fishes back there, but
Yeah,
we're gonna have
the
to spray paint some corals back there for you.
uh,
As
Yeah.
as a little.
yep. Yeah, well, I'll show you. I do have the tank's new mascot. And where did it go now? This is the new mascot
Oh, nice.
for the tank.
Is that a crab?
No, it's a crab. Yep.
Yeah.
Where is it? Yeah, I bought it actually for my daughter's dog, who's a French bulldog. And then I thought, no, I'm going to keep it for the. And so I changed my mind because it was going to be a hammerhead shark. And I thought, no, I'm going to get the crab because I'll have my tank and everything all set up, and I'll just take a picture of it with the crab right in the middle, kind of like laminar flow. His intro and his thumbnails and everything. He's got a picture of an empty 125 in the wall with a little tiny plastic clownfish and a bit of ribbon laying there. And it just I always laugh when I see it. So yeah, that's the mascot. So I don't have any. I don't have a processed video of my holding tank right now, but things are doing well. Things
Nice.
are growing too fast in some cases. I've been moving corals between Mollywood and the big tank for various reasons as they've needed it to survive.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I lost a torch, the purple with the green
Oh,
mouth. And I think it was because there just wasn't enough light, even though
Oh
I added some.
I
mm.
love
And
torches.
yeah. And I also lost my black and green lobophilia,
Oh,
which
wow.
was a really unusual one. I've never seen another one like it. And if I ever do see another one, I want to get one again.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to it. It might
Mm.
just have been the same problem. Maybe it was in a corner. I thought there was good flow. Maybe there just wasn't.
What's enough?
And
Wow.
by the time I realized it was a problem, it was too late,
Mm.
even though I did move it. So I've had a couple casualties, but I mean, when you look at this, I don't know if I can do this as an
They
overlay.
happen. They happen. Ever since I
Yeah,
moved this reef over here, same over here. You don't even
yeah,
know why, but
yeah, yeah,
they just not that happy no more.
yeah. So I seem to recall when you started that. That's the 40 breeder, right, Hector?
Yes.
I
Yes.
I thought when you
Yes.
started that it was going to be a frag tank.
Yeah.
There, let me.
What did I
Yep.
tell you at the time? I remember. It looks nice though.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey to get where it's at right now.
Let me just
Adding the
open this up.
refugium, the other thing, trying to organize. Not so much the cable management because I think is you could do it to an extent because you got to remember you got to do maintenance. So if you make those wire looks too nice, then you got to take them apart when you got to do your maintenance. So that's what's happening to me right now, trying to figure out the best and easy way for me to do that.
Yep. Oh, good
And
night,
still can
Paris
find.
Rhodes. Thanks for coming by. Sorry, Hector. Yeah,
No, you're
the
good. You're good.
the whole wire management thing, that's one of the big decisions I made about this new
Yeah.
tank is I had them put a plug on each side of where it's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
There will be no cords crossing the back.
Yes.
No, it's not going to happen.
And that's what's happening right now because
Yep.
the little stand, that's where I wanted to put everything inside. But since I made the tank a peninsula, even if I made it the other way around too, it was gonna be a mission just for certain equipment to reach
Yeah.
the other tank.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm facing right now. But for the most part, everything is good where it's at right now. So I just got to deal with it. I don't got
Yeah.
no other choice.
Well, that's good, Benny. That filter looked good. Yeah, the colors and everything are just amazing,
I
Hector. It looks really good.
Yeah, I
Thank
have
you.
this Amazon
I mean, hold on.
uh lens, which is not really nice. So instead, I used uh Billy Pipes sunglasses, or
Oh
that
yeah,
reef glasses, and it's actually really good.
like these?
Yeah, that's really the awesome one. So I'm just trying to like get an angle so we can see it better. I do have to actually invest on some lens at one point.
Or
Actually,
fake.
I take a lot of I take a lot of photos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
Or fake, bro. Or fake.
yeah.
I
They're glass.
know.
They're glass.
The best so far.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Orphec, I don't know if you remember last, whenever it was, I had a bunch of those lens sets to give away, and I did.
Yep.
And the last one got packed away when I cleaned off my
Yes.
kitchen counter. Well, I found it the other day.
Oh, nice.
I don't know where
Wow.
it is right now, but I found it the other day.
Good.
So one of these weeks, watch for a giveaway because
Yeah.
I'm going to hide it in one of my videos,
Oh,
Nice. Nice.
and
nice.
we'll do the giveaway on the live stream. And yeah, so I'm quite happy I found them because they are the best of any that I've used, and I've tried at
Mm-hmm.
least 5 different kinds.
Yeah. Same here.
I'm not saying the others are bad because they're not,
Yep.
but these just are better. They're
Yeah.
because they're glass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Time to
Yeah.
get a new
I
lens.
tried Kobo myself. And I had the same issues. It
Yeah.
just the other ones, since they're acrylic, they get scratch easy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the
Ever since you
Polylab
made that
ones, but
video about the glass ones, I bought
So-
one.
Sorry, Taryn?
I was thinking of buying the Polylab ones, but maybe I'll try the ones you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, you can buy them on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Or even I'm trying to think. See, the thing about Orphec is it's hard, like nobody carries it much in Canada. So
Or anything in Canada.
there is that. Well, get this, I don't know if I told you guys last week, but my last week, well, we weren't here last week, so probably not. But my LFS is going to be a dealer in Canada for Orphec. Or I mean
Oh.
for Deltec. My ex, I'm not getting right. Yeah, for Deltec because I wanted to buy I'm getting eFlow 12 pumps, 2 of them for the new setup, and a 3000i skimmer. And they had a really good Black Friday sale on. But the problem was it was going to cost me $250 US just for shipping.
Wow.
So that's a barrier. I won't pay it.
Wow.
It's too ridiculous.
Hey, I can just fly it over to you on my, when I'm working. If I have to go to,
There you go.
to Canada, I can meet you in the border.
Yeah, we can't cross the border, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
So, I mean, I had a US shipping address, which would have been fine. But and Carlos 23 sent me a pump, and I still haven't been able to get it. And I
Yikes.
bought a frag rack from Paul Blaney, and it's still waiting for me. So I got a letter the other day, or an email from the company, the mail company, saying they are now looking at doing forwarding for people through the post office, which they wouldn't do before.
Yep.
So they would figure it all out. I would pay them, and they would take it to the post office and mail it for me. So I'm hoping that works out because I don't
Yeah.
mind paying $30 or $40 for
That's
postage.
crazy.
It's worth it. But it was going to cost $95 for someone to come, a service to drive over and get the stuff and bring it. Yeah, not happening.
No.
It's
Wow.
just
That's
crazy.
That is
Crazy.
wow.
I
That
would
is
say I
yeah.
would say if you was in the moon or something, but you're right here in the same piece of land.
I'm within 2
Yeah.
hours of the border.
Same piece of land.
I'm 10 minutes from the border, literally.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
the heck?
So we'll see. I'm hoping because the pump that Carlos sent was the the Camor, I think
Yep.
the X, the little
Hmm.
aquarium one. And I use the Dripping Pro, the Camor Dripping Pro, as to dose Mollywood with all for Reef. So they work well enough for what I need. I
Yeah.
don't need anything super precise or perfect,
Yeah.
down to the nanoliter. It's
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, I definitely need a better lens. All right.
Stay tuned
Yeah,
for
it's
the giveaway.
probably the current.
I
Yeah,
will be
exactly.
watching.
Yeah,
I will be
it's,
watching.
come on, guys. It's 57 seconds. That's how
That's
long
it.
those videos are. Maybe a minute 20 if I put a giveaway in there, but I don't want to say that because then that gives away the fact there's a
Yeah.
giveaway.
Yeah.
You got to make like a 5-minute one and see if people are really committed.
Yeah, that's right. I've done that. I did put giveaways at the end of videos throughout the,
Mhm.
as time went by, and it's always fun because I don't really do it to sort of, I don't know, to shame people. That's not the idea. It's
No.
more
No.
like an incentive to say, well, like I like to tell a story from start to
Yeah.
finish, and
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
a lot of people get bored partway through, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And
It's,
you don't
it's,
always have 10 minutes to spend, and I get that. That's
it,
okay too. So I'm going to
yeah.
make it worth your while, at
Yeah.
least sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Johnny
thing with
Martinez.
videos is crazy. My
Yeah,
last video, I
yeah,
made it like 30 minutes long. And I
mhm,
said, nobody gonna watch it. But I
yeah.
got more views on that one in a week that I had in one that is 5 minutes.
See, I would
You
watch
know what?
it because I can put it on and do something while I'm watching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if,
That's
if
what.
you get like a 10 or 11-minute video, like that's a commitment that you can't really go and fill the dishwasher while you're
Yeah.
watching it because
Yeah.
it's only 10 minutes and then your hands are all wet and yucky from being in the sink
Mhm.
and you got to touch your just crazy, man.
I
John,
was making another video the other day. I was already up to like 35 minutes. I said, hold on, chill now. Chill. But hey,
yeah.
if I want to say something, you got to put it out there, you know?
Well,
It,
and I've run
it's,
into that too, where you just needed that extra time to
yeah.
make sure that it's right,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like to do anything halfway
Hmm.
that feels rushed or
Yeah.
whatever. And it is what it is, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Johnny Martinez says I should get a drone. Yeah, that would be good. Hey, Alice, meet at the border. I'll toss it over. Yeah, if only, eh? I wonder how long it would take a drone to get shot down going over the Niagara River.
I feel like that would be an issue right now,
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, no kidding.
If it's like carrying boxes across the border, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
So,
the anemone is opening up again since I turned
oh,
on the light,
wow.
and I got that two clowns in that one anemone again. That's
Are those
pretty cool.
your original clowns?
Yes, I had that
Yeah.
clown. I believe at least 4 or 5 months. Hector, what do you think? It's been a while, right,
Yeah.
Hector? You remember?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's the original clowns that I have. The rest here are pretty much new. Like the latest collection I have here is that Philippine yellow tang, which is hiding in the back. I don't know if you guys can see it. But the rest of the fishes here, which I think I have 9 total, are they've been here for quite some time.
Hmm.
They've
So
been
we
here quite some time.
so we got Alex in the waiting room. Should I bring him in?
Bring it
Yeah.
in.
See what big massive projects he's been working on this week? Oh, he's wearing a mask. Okay, here he comes. Hey, Alex. Look at you.
Hi, how do I sound?
You sound actually pretty good.
Do I
So
sound
have you got
okay?
this? Yep, you got this on to protect you from whatever's flying around in the room, or have you got people over?
No, I'm cutting fiberglass reinforced plastic, and it's rather unpleasant to inhale.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
So
So you just put a
this,
video out about your start, about what you've been doing to start, and like you're making progress.
oh yeah, Lots of progress. Well, you guys can't probably see it too well. Well, let me try. The canopy for the frag tank is here. So
Ooh, that looks good.
that's
Wow.
anything. And then the white boards on the wall are my FRP boards waterproof in this space.
Right.
And it's a bit messy.
Yeah, but you know, you're starting to get defined areas now.
Yep. No, and I have the Dexter ceiling back up kind of, so I know that's made Phil really happy. He shared some tips I didn't know if I really wanted in my video about Dexter, so
Yeah. 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 Alice said she was thinking you were working with insulation, but no.
yeah, yeah, the stuff smells pretty bad when it's getting cut, and then it just a lot of particles floating around. So figured I'd just avoid that and throw a mask on since they're so handy now.
Yeah. Well, a mask is what I
But
should have worn when I got my palotoxin dose. And I had eye protection, I had gloves, I had like gloves going all the way up my arms, everything. But I did not have a mask. And man, oh man, I paid the price for that.
Alex, how big is your
yeah,
tank again?
oh,
And how
I'm
big is
hoping by
that
the end of the
canopy?
let me just flip this thing around because it's bothering me to try and hold it this way.
Sorry,
Hopefully,
I was just curious to know what size of tank you got and how big the canopy was.
The frag tank. That's a frag tank, Benny. It's
Oh,
just
that's a frag tank.
it's a frag tank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this will be the frag tank.
That looks like about
It's although it'll probably be about 450 because I made it slightly smaller.
wow, looks very
So,
nice.
but yeah, the canopy will be up here. I still gotta secure it in here, but I'm gonna use FRP boards to skin the inside of it, and then it'll be plastic on the top of it. It'll be umbrella-ish on the top.
And
So if the
that's
plastic
what you
above it
have.
fails and we have water come down from above,
Hmm.
And that's what you have in the basement.
so
Yeah.
but
Hey, Alex. Phil
yeah,
says
the
he
rest
took
of this room's a mess. So
Phil says he took a screenshot of you. He's got to share with the guy who started the Dexter thing.
Wow, you got a nice,
jeez.
nice big boy toy over there. That's really cool.
Yeah, so I got the first modification of my skimmer done. I shaved off like an inch or so of this to lower it. So
Right?
one step done there. And now this is just a mess. So this will be the project after this, and that is running.
Yeah.
So
Alex, you're not that far off from Tidal Gardens, from Fan.
well, this is just the fish room. So I'm not telling anyone what I'm doing for displays yet. So other than they're gonna go. No, they're gonna go on somewhere in here. So,
Wow.
Wow, amazing. What do you got over there?
The casket
now
tank.
this is my temp tank.
Wow.
Everybody put your orange glasses
Let me see if
on.
I can-
That's it. I'm gonna have to take it off my webcam real quick.
Well, I gotta All right.
I like
Where'd my
that. I
filter
like that
go?
little lazy man's couch.
Of course, now that I want my orange filter, I don't know where it is.
So I think you should have an L-shaped bullnose, 4,000 gallon
There we go.
in the
Now we
middle
talk.
there, Alex.
Yeah.
That is really nice, man.
Here we go.
So much you can do with
I
that.
have the same thing. Ooh, I like the looks. What's that little
So,
orange one in the center?
oh,
That round one.
that's a bounce mushroom.
Oh, it's a bounce. I got you. Oh, there goes the clown. Taryn.
Yeah, they're the other one's over here sitting in an anemone, and
Oh,
then
there you go. That's an anemone. Wow.
Is that a
yeah, still
maroon
kind of in
too?
recovery. Yeah, these are gold stripes. So, um, I bought them. I kind of did an old school trick, and they were wild ones, and my LFS had them in separate tanks, and I was like, "Oh, why don't you turn them into a pair?" And he just looked at me. He's like, "I'm not doing that." Like, that might not work
How
out, Alex.
how hard is it to breed a clownfish?
Uh, I never. I they lay. I don't know if they've laid eggs in the temp tank, but when they were in the big tank before I moved, they were pretty steady, and there's almost just a week or two apart from eggs being laid every time they were down.
The hard part with
So, but
breeding
they
clownfish isn't the eggs, getting eggs, it's bringing them to hatch and raising the fry.
Mhm.
That's the hard part.
yeah, that's that's where Alex he doesn't get involved with that, but yeah, these two really did not like each other when I first got them. Um, he, the big one almost killed the little one, and then about 2 months after they were together, the male, or it changed to a male, started slowly working its way over, and finally got accepted.
Wow, that's cool.
And there's quite a big size difference, is there, Alex?
Oh yeah, you know, when I used to work in the local fish store, and we used to get in unpaired clowns. That used to be our tactic, was just put big ones with little ones and watch them, and well, sometimes it works out really good, and sometimes they're trying to net one out really rapidly. So, but
How's
no,
the bubble coral?
uh, well, there's one section at the top, kind of dead center in the camera, that it unfortunately has receded there. I siphoned out, and actually a chunk of it kind of fell off.
Mm,
And when I originally moved it, that was the part of it that got exposed to the air, and I just unfortunately didn't have a choice.
yeah.
So, you know, even though that was, oh geez, 5 months ago now from the first move, it's deteriorated a little bit, but um, just did a water change on the tank. I cleaned the MP40s, even though there's like 6 inches of hair algae blowing out from the one right there.
So did I see a royal
But
grandma there, Alex? Like, is that from the other tank?
that's a Spanish hog from my that's the
Oh my
fish from my 720.
scale. That's what it is. It's the scale. That's the problem. Jeepers. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Wow.
it's the big boy in there, and then the cleaner wrasse is in here, and then the hawkfish is zooming around a bit too, somewhere. He's hard to see now, but yeah. So
Nice.
hopefully, a month or two, and I can start to get this stuff rolling. So
Yeah.
this
Looks
will,
very nice.
yeah,
Cool.
this I'll eventually get this done too. So Not that you could really see it, but there's a 90 back there. So,
Wow.
Aw,
and
Hey,
the lazy
Glenn.
man.
Aw.
Gizmo Piglet.
Hey, buddy. It's nice
Leave me
and
alone.
warm
He's
over
like,
there.
what are you doing? He's like, you're cutting stuff with a saw, and you're poking cameras in my face.
I thought you was working over there. What are you
So,
doing over
but yeah,
So Alex, you're cutting fiberglass reinforced plastic. Is that like pipes, or is that the ceiling stuff, or what is that you're using that for?
it's the wall stuff.
Oh, right.
So I've been covering my wall with it. So this all the wall back there looks more like that. So it's part of the moisture barrier, and also trying to make it look slightly nicer. So
Mhm.
the plastic will get taped onto here with a waterproof tape, and then all the seams will get silicone or taped, and then I've already started installing. I took some pond liner and I cornered this whole part of the basement here because it's by the finished part.
Mm,
So that'll fall down to the floor and against the wall. So the idea here is if there's a spill, that the water will get and go down and diverted the drain and the cement walls that I don't care so much about.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
Well,
it's a lot of work. I
you-
still got a ton of electrical too. So
yeah, but you've come a long way since we first saw it right after you moved.
yeah,
Oh, hey, Taryn. Sorry, she says her battery
yeah. Once
died.
I get
Thanks for having me in the studio. Thanks, Taryn. Sorry.
once I get the moisture barrier completed and then the electrical roughed in the rest of the way, I'll start focusing more on this thing. I
And
already
we're
got the pond
assuming that,
liner for it.
Yeah.
Alex, we're assuming all your
What?
electrical voltage are up to par, right? Like you have a dedicated panel for each tank or each system setup.
Oh yeah,
Is
no,
that what it is?
there's a dedicated sub panel that's going to be for this. So
And that's two
I
240,
haven't hooked
110, or
anything up yet.
what voltage are you running over there?
It's just 115, so or 110, whichever way you want to look at
Okay,
it.
so the
So
circuit is straight
no,
out to the
there'll
outside.
be four circuits for this room. Say that again.
No, I'm saying like the circuit is straight run through the outside, I would assume. So if one blows, you still have power on the other panels.
Oh yeah, no, there's gonna be four breakers in this room, and then I'm thinking the display tank's gonna get another 3. So, but yeah, there should
Wow,
be plenty
that's a
of
nice setup.
plenty of power. So, and
So,
they'll be fully protected too. I'm gonna get the
Yeah, that's a pretty cool setup.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I was just wondering if I stopped because I thought you might be saying you're going to get a generator, a whole home generator.
I do have a generator already.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna. I might run in a separate plug and a transfer switch. I kind of want to wait and see what happens over here.
Hmm.
The fact that I have the generator and I could install it, I could always get a couple things going with some extension cords, and I'll be good. It's underground here, the most part. So my last house, I think the longest power outage I ever had was like 30 minutes. So I'll see though. I might I might at a minimum put a plug in, and that way I could hook it up over here and run a transfer switch so that it'll allow me to throw it on.
Mhm.
But
Nice. Yeah, our
we'll get
power
there.
here is not that reliable.
Wow. You get the whole system set up, geared up.
So
Yeah,
Alice,
yeah. There'll eventually be another sump tank over there.
hmm,
Yeah, it's really nice when you have your own spot and your own place and your own tools building. That's
Yeah.
what makes the hobby really, really awesome. Especially if you're deep into it
Yeah.
and you're a handyman.
No,
That's really, really cool. Like Calypso, another handy dude.
yep, that Hector and his DIY.
Yeah, man. So how's your tank doing, Mr. Calypso?
It's good, man. Can't complain. Seen worse days, but just like I said, just try to organize everything, make it work, make it work. Trying to upgrade my equipment, so I've been finding some good deals and some brain equipment, so can't let those go by and not get them. So and getting ready for a calcium reactor.
Yeah, I have a
But,
big ass calcium reactor in a box.
I
yeah,
was looking into the calcium reactor recently before I got the Jabo dosing pump today.
yeah, I'm
I
gonna get
was reading a lot about it. Can you, in your own words, describe how it
look
actually
at
works?
that.
Who, me?
You, Calypso, what is
Me,
the
I don't
best?
know. I don't have a clue how that thing works.
Tell you
I'm
what,
get
I'll tell you, and then Alex can tell me if I make any mistakes because I think I
Sounds
know
good.
how it works. So,
all I know about calcium reactor is that those equal parts are gadolinium and calcium and trace element strontium. That's it.
There's more to it though, as far
Of
as when
course,
I
there's
read
more to
about
it.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
but once I learn, I'll
there's
let you
an
know.
yeah. So
so,
yeah,
so what happens is you have a chamber, and in the chamber is media that's um, intended to be melted.
Mhm.
Sometimes the media is old coral skeletons, sometimes it's specific kinds of rock or whatever.
right.
Or I don't know if there's any man-made out there or if it's all mined or collected. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. So the whole idea is that CO2 is introduced into the water that's in that chamber. That the water comes from your tank, gets pumped into the chamber with the media, and CO2 is introduced into that at a controlled rate
Correct.
to lower the pH in that chamber so that the media will dissolve
Yep.
and go into solution. And then the solution is pumped out of that chamber and dripped into your tank. So there's a couple of other components to that. There's a feed pump that puts the water into the chamber at a certain rate.
Yep.
And then there's an I don't know whether the feed pump controls the effluent speed, whether like it's all one system, or whether there's a separate type of thing or fitting where you control the effluent speed, because the solution that comes out of that, the effluent that goes into your tank, has the dissolved substance from the chamber, and that contains the calcium alkalinity. And my understanding is that some types of media are lower in magnesium content than others. So there are media that you can add that are specifically for magnesium to
Yeah.
enhance magnesium. And
Which
that's
is
all I know
another
about it.
chamber, I believe, right? Which is another chamber that you have to add
No, no,
on.
no, no.
Well,
You
what
add it to
happens
the
is,
same chamber.
yeah, if you add a second chamber, sometimes people do that to make sure because the pH in the main chamber drops down to what, 6.2, 6.4. So
Right.
the idea behind a second chamber is to make sure that pH, the low pH, is sort of normalized a little bit before the stuff goes into your tank, because the CO2 goes in the first chamber, and the water that comes out of the first chamber has low pH. It goes into the second chamber, which doesn't have CO2 introduced into it, so the pH is a little closer to normal, so that by the time it comes out of that second chamber, the pH isn't as low as it was in the first chamber. So, Alex, how did I do?
Alex is serious.
You say,
I've done so much reading on this, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I honestly think if I saw one running, it would be like, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I actually started
but
looking
you know
into
how
it this week.
the best way for us to learn is just connecting one together and make it run.
And go for
And
it.
see how it goes. Maybe
And
you
so-
blow up the stand. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I'll,
Alex.
Okay,
I'll start by saying calcium reactors could be a very intimidating piece of equipment because
Yeah.
there are multiple different methods out there to operate them, and it has to do with part of it's the quality of the equipment that you get, the type of media that you're using, and what, how much load you have on there. Now, my method that the method that I've gone with is, which I know you can't get I don't know if you can get reborn media again yet, but
you can, but apparently it's different. Lynn Reef Nerd has some, and the size of the pieces is smaller than the original. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of those things is that knowing the media and finding out what they recommend as far as like what's the lowest pH it can go to. You don't ever want to go below that, because if you do, it'll start turning it into mush,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
Mm-mm.
Some people will control the calcium reactor using a pH probe, and they'll turn the gas on and off depending on the pH inside. I have stayed away from that myself, and what I've gone to is using a carbon dose electronic regulator.
Yeah, that's
that
what
has
Austin
a redundant.
used. Yeah, Insane Reefer was talking about that a while back. Yeah.
Some people don't particularly like them. I was happy with mine running for 2.5 years, and it's going to go back on the reactor as soon as I get them. You definitely want extra hose in there, and you want to make sure that if water gets past the check valve, it doesn't get to your regulator, because that seems to be a problem many people have. And
Yeah.
get up with the electronics getting wet. Well,
yeah,
not
exactly.
much you could do about that other than to have a backup in place.
Yeah.
And in form of a good check valve, and then a solenoid valve too. That's electronically controlled. So the way I've found mine worked the best was to figure out, and it's a very much a balancing game. You have to kind of slowly do. I use a Kimura peristaltic pump to pull water through the reactor.
Is that the FX4, the big one, or FT4, TP?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's in a box over here. It was one of the first ones. It's a continuous duty rated.
Yeah, because I just bought one. It was expensive. Yeah, it was very expensive.
Yeah,
it wasn't the $99 one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little more expensive. But you want to get one that's continuous duty rated so that it can constantly go. That will give you better assurance and insurance than any needle valve ever would, because needle valve for me, controlling flow in the calcium reactor was a nightmare. It was every day or two had to be checked and adjusted. So the peristaltic pump takes care of that 100%.
Right. What's that noise? Does anybody know? Let me just. Oh, here we go.
No.
Hector, are you eating potato chips? Yeah, we've got some people in the chat talking. Oh, hey, David L. Talking about various things. And that's what Phil, Reef Keeper's talking about, using a feed pump. You can dial back the effluent with a pinch valve. If you use CAMOR or continuous pump, you can eliminate the pinch valve. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And David L says they can be intimidating, but once set up, they're awesome. Yeah, and he also says the new ReefGrrl isn't quite the same. Yeah.
No,
But
I'll have to see. I still got.
Sorry, I was gonna ask. True or false? Is it calcium reactor only best for a bigger tank, or is it necessary for a smaller, medium to smaller tank? Because like I know for a fact, having an Apex, a Trident, and a dosing pump is best for a bigger tank. But if you have one, it's okay for a 40-gallon breeder.
You know what it's like? It's like
For me, it's best for
when do you start dosing? You start dosing when the stuff in your tank needs stuff. So once you're at the point with your tank where you're putting so much in that you can't keep up with the growth, my understanding is that's when you go to a calcium reactor, because you have more scope to increase the things that you're adding beyond 2-part. Like if you're putting 200 milliliters a day of 2-part in of each one, that's a lot. Like that's ridiculous. But if you switch to a calcium reactor, you can supply the tank with the level of stuff that it needs with far less volume, cheaper. That's what I had always understood. So it's basically ask yourself the question: am I dosing way too much calcium alkalinity in solutions, separate solutions? Then it might be time to go to calcium reactor. Right? I don't.
No, I agree.
Well, Hector, you're breaking up. I think you're breaking up. That's what the noise is.
I think he's having way too much chips in there, and he need to share it with the whole gang.
Hey, Deep.
It's not me. I'm quiet.
He says.
I'm gonna get out and come back.
Okay, it's simple when you use a peristaltic pump. So, yeah, and that's what you were saying, Alex. That allows you to control it.
Yeah, and really the way that I ran mine was I pulled water through it at a constant rate, and then I set up the carbon dose to dose gas, or put a specific measurement of gas into the reactor. And the pH probe, in my case, I would watch it to make sure I was in the range that I wanted to be, and it would go up and down every day based on the pH of the system as a whole when the lights came on and off. But what I found was the pH probe for me was only used as a fail-safe if the pH got below, I think it was 6.45. I would have it close the solenoid to the CO2 and turn the power off of the carbon doser, because that would at least stop gas coming into that. But I found with that, it was pretty much set it and forget it. And then, as your alkalinity demand goes up, you just turn it up a little bit with just dosing a little bit more mils, and then a little bit more gas here and there, and really fine adjustments. But to what you were saying with Like it is a real cost benefit thing to whether or not you go with a calcium reactor multi-part dosing. Uh, Multi-part dosing is more expensive um, to put into a tank, and especially a larger system. But
Mm-hmm.
the calcium reactor's got a really high upfront cost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I've looked into that as well.
it's a demand
Yeah.
thing, and also you gotta say if it works for you and it's not you're not having a problem paying for the 2-part,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to make the switch, then I'd just stay with 2-part.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got a bunch of comments. This is cool. Reef Keeper says they have smaller ones, but he wouldn't add one to a smaller tank that doesn't consume as much alkalinity. Oh, hey, Damaris Ferguson. I don't know if you've ever been here before, but welcome. I noticed pinch valves seem to clog more often, investing in Camor pump. Yeah. And Phil says, Reef Keeper, that's what I did. I was using
Yeah, the
160
bars they
mils of
got they're
breast
great
when I
idea.
switched to yeah. Sorry.
I guess everybody has their own thing. Depends on how much your well, how big the tank is and how much it consumes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And with that, time comes into time
Yep.
comes into play.
Yeah. It's true.
So
Yeah, I mean,
So
the part is not consuming. There's no need to add it.
yeah. And it's like when you have a new tank, you don't need to get a dosing pump. If you can do water changes to maintain the requirements, the uptake of alkalinity, calcium, whatever, and the balance, then that's the way to do it. And the only time you switch to dosing is if you've got consumption in your tank from growth that your water changes can't keep up with. If you would have to be doing a ridiculous amount of water changes to keep up with it. I always feel like water changes are the best thing to do because they refresh everything. But there comes a point, like me, with my system's going to be probably close to 500 gallons by the time I'm done. I'm not going to do a 10% water change every week. Like that's just crazy. And yeah, crazy town reef. So anyway, that's the other aspect of it, with replenishing the minerals and stuff that it needs. You've got to find ways to do it that are, and I mean, we're all individuals who have different levels of interest and time and ability to do the kinds of maintenance that these various things require. And I'm intimidated by the idea of a calcium reactor because there's like what, 5 bits and pieces that all work together to make it happen. So that's 5 places where something could go wrong, and I better make sure I notice it quick, So yeah, we'll see. I'm up for it though. I'm stoked. I'm gonna do it. The only thing I don't have is a CO2 bottle. I got a regulator, the pH thing, the calcium reactor itself, the feed pump now, which just came in this week, and that's the one the post office sent to the wrong place. And what was the other thing? Oh, the media. I got a whole bunch of media, probably more than I'll ever need in my lifetime, but nevertheless, I'm a hoarder, so I have it.
Make sure you go to find a local welding supply store to get your CO2 from. That's just
That's
a
a
word of caution to everyone. Don't buy CO2 bottles online. A lot of local places,
yeah,
they will not fill the tank. They'll just say, we don't trust it, don't know where it came from, because they all stamp them with they got codes on the tanks they stamp, and a lot of times if it's not their tank, they won't touch it.
yeah,
quality
exactly.
control
I heard
inspection.
that. I did hear that.
Oh, hey, Diacanthus. Nice to see you. Amado Gonzalez is here. Oh, lots of interesting comments here. Let me put some of these up here. Phil says, I tune mine the same way. CO2 stays on all the time, never shuts off. Only use pH controller for backup. And Diacanthus CO2 saturation method. No need for an untrustworthy pH probe. Speak, I'd say progression would be to do water changes to meet ALK until that won't keep up. Then next go to dosing 2-part until that gets to be cost prohibitive. Exactly, exactly. You don't need to dose if you don't have livestock that's consuming what you're putting in the water. So I think a lot of people who just start out get a little overwhelmed with the complexities of it, not realizing you don't need to worry about that stuff right away. You can work your way into that. I know
It'll
that's
probably
what
take a year and a half to start really looking into it. Because before, when I first started, I never started dosing,
happened.
and now I'm into that year and a half mode where I was manually dosing alkalinity, calcium, and in the morning and when I get home, I measure again. I'm like, wow, that's a zero point 0.1 difference. Let me add a zero point 0.5. And
Mm-hmm.
then at night, I measure again until I have to order reagents of alkalinity, Hannah,
Yep.
and phosphate, and all that other testing kit. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to buy a dosing pump. And that's when I started researching all this calcium reactor, all these different types of media reactor. And yeah, I think when it passes a certain time, a year, year and a half, that's when you really have to, you know, put more. At least in a 40 gallon. I'm not sure about an 120 or more. I'm assuming it's going to be bigger.
Yeah. And
But
B Speak brought up another point, which is true. After your 2-part can't keep up, add a calcwash or reactor. I dosed calc, but I didn't use a reactor. There's lots of different ways you can do it. And then on larger systems, you end up with a calcium reactor. And it's just the volume of livestock more than anything that probably dictates that on a big system. And it is a progression. I'm not dosing calc right now on the 90 holding tank, and ALK is up around, last time I checked it, it was 9.2, I think. So it's a little higher than I like it, but that's okay. It's still not in any kind of a danger zone. And Benny, you said something really interesting, which was about checking, because that's the other aspect of this. You can't dose until you're ready to test.
correct. I
You
test
know, you're
every,
working blind, right?
yeah, I test, I used to test every other day, like Calypso. And since I see a consumption, having a caulk washer on the ATO, I just open up another thing right there. I have a caulk washer in the ATO bucket, and when I notice that, hey, I'm losing zero point 0.2 or a pretty significant amount of alkalinity, then I started putting a manual dosing alkalinity. And when I found out about the dosing pump, let me just do that instead. I could just put the timer and let that control it and test. And
Yeah.
once I see that the number is up for the alkalinity, then I just turn off the dosing pump because I know my calc washer is there. If my caulk washer
Yeah.
can't handle it, then I'll go back and turn on the dosing pump.
Yeah. Yeah. Amado Gonzalez, calc on a dosing tank. When calc can't handle it, you go to 2-part. When you outgrow 2-part and calc, you add a calcium reactor. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. I agree.
and I mean, the thing about calc as well, I like compared to 2-part, calc and a calcium reactor also have impacts on pH. That can be positive that you might need at some point. And that's what happened to me. That's why I started using calc, because I was trying to bump my pH. And every one of those different things that I did bumped my pH a little bit. And ultimately I got it where I wanted it, but it wasn't through one method. And it was gradual, and it evolved over time based on what was happening with the growth in the tank and what stuff needed. So it's one of those things, it's not like planting a tree and then just letting it grow. This is like a garden where you have to keep the environment suitable that the plants can grow and spread out, and then they got to be trimmed. And it's just like a garden. And when I was a lot younger, I thought, You plant your plants and you water them, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. And oh no, I learned.
Yeah. So that's pretty
Yeah,
much how I started with a caulk washer, and that's also chasing my pH and alkalinity.
Yeah.
And then when I figured out about my alkalinity, my pH was still low. I looked into getting a CO2 scrubber. And then I ran a hose all the way to the window, which now then kept my pH at 8.2 at the daytime. And at night, I have 8.3 because that's when I have the refugium light on and all that good stuff back there. And then from there, just when I see the note, the alkalinity is still going low, go back to dosing alkalinity
Yeah.
and calcium. Actually, both. I'm dosing calcium and alkalinity equal parts.
Yeah, I never reached that point ever. And I know they're supposed to be equal, but I've never been successful in maintaining the levels where they should be with them being equal. I always need less calcium. So it's a strange thing. Maybe because my pH was never high enough to facilitate the growth that would equalize them. I don't know. Yeah, they're talking about all the different systems and getting bought. Tony,
one
everyone
thing
needs
I
to check
will
the
say with calcium reactor too is if you have a refugium, dump your effluent from the calcium reactor into the refugium compartment.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably good advice.
All
Because I
the
was wondering about that.
extra CO2 that's in there could potentially help the macroalgae or any algae that you have growing. So
Mhm.
that's why I always dump mine into there because I was like, well, it's just I thought about it in the terms of the way a planted tank is operated, where they'll put CO2 into planted tanks and get more in there to get more growth. So
Yep,
just another step.
Phil. Ha ha ha, we're all crazy. Everybody is talking. Here, I'll give you some examples. I started dosing two-part, got sick of mixing gallons every couple of weeks, got a calcium reactor, and now the calcium reactor is max, and I started dosing calc. And then he uses a reactor, dose calc, and two-part.
Oh wow! He
Like,
must have his tank for a long, long, long time then.
well, and he's also got like 1,200 gallons of water going on with
Oh,
a
okay.
360 display. It's blue carbon reefing. You should check it out, Benny. There's all kinds of really interesting stuff that he's done over the years. Like even a denitrator, a sulfur denitrator he had going for a little while, which I found really fascinating. Like stuff like that fascinates me. It's little things you can do to address a problem, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Well,
Diacanthus, I use individual controllers with an ancillary visual webcam monitoring system with image recognition software that can take displayed information and log/track it. Just respecting points of failure. So true. What the heck? Oh, yeah. Yep. If you take a step back and look at what we do to keep water, it's definitely nuts. Yeah, I sometimes wonder
Yeah.
what people think.
You know what though? It's just like I've had people that are like, I have my old tanks going, and they'd be like, "Wow, that's like crazy," and at the same time, they're telling me in their next breath how they just bought a car to restore or a classic car or a
Mhm.
motorcycle, and I'm like, it's like that, but not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's true.
there's a little more science involved to it in addition to time.
Well, and the thing is, with a
yeah,
with a vehicle like that or a hobby, like we had a '65 Pontiac Parisienne convertible at one time. And the thing is, you can drive it, but you don't want to drive it if it's raining. You don't want to get it dirty after you just cleaned it. Not only that, if something on it breaks, or like let's say you get one that needs a lot of restoration, it's really not you doing it most of the time. I mean, we've known people who have been working on a car to restore it for like 30 years. And that's because they're doing everything. And it's because they want to do it. But after 30 years, they still don't have the thing painted. And it's
Oh,
because
geez.
they've been doing everything. But the thing is, if you want quicker success, you have to hand things out and get the stuff done for you by somebody else. And then it becomes a matter of how much money do you have?
Right.
And it's not the same as like what we're doing. Every aspect of keeping a reef tank is something we're responsible for, like everything. And I think that's what makes it so challenging because there's so much to learn when you start, and you never do learn it all. There's always something that comes along that's going to be a challenge. And that's what I love about it.
It's maintaining the water level to have your livestock thriving.
Yep.
The carpentry is easy,
Yep.
the equipment is manageable,
Mhm.
the dosing part is there, but trying to maintain its stability
Yeah.
and see how colorful not only the fishes are, but the corals is what makes this thing very interesting. Like when I had the freshwater, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's like, wow, there's a lot of science
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of experiment. It's chemistry. It's wow. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
the
people,
biodiversity is one that always gets me, and that's
yeah.
part of the reason I'm in trouble with so many tanks.
Yeah. And what I love is the first time someone who's not official, like not a fellow reef keeper, but just, a civilian comes in and looks at the tank and and they look at it and I say, everything in here is alive. It's not plastic, it's not fake, it's not like it's actually a living creature. They can't believe it. They don't believe it because the colors and the shapes and the textures and just and that's really gratifying because it's like it's jaw dropping for people. And I can hardly wait till my grandson's old enough to appreciate like the fish and all of the other stuff that's in there. Like now he's fascinated with the colors. He loves the blue light. We have to be careful we don't let him look at the light because kids, their eyes are drawn to it. And but he sees the fish. He puts his hand out and the fish swim over, and it just, I don't know, it's endlessly fascinating to me. Alice says the Nova sits in the garage. No way it's coming out. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. So, Alex, you're getting your walls covered. What's next after that?
Uh, well, I'm thinking once I have that done, I will finish my Dexter ceiling and get that completed. I gotta tape the whole perimeter all the way around the whole thing. Every seam, every screw, all needs to be taped and sealed up pretty well. Once I have that done, I think I will be in fairly good shape to turn my attention towards my utility sink that should be here on Monday. So I
Oh,
gotta
what did you
plumb
get?
that in.
What did you end
I,
up
I
getting
ended
for
up
that?
getting it's a 32-inch, um, just a single basin. I didn't need a divider in it. I just got one big wash tub, and it has a little sprayer on it, but the reviews are all like, oh, it's not very good. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I'll get by with it for now and buy something different later
Yeah.
if I need it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we thought. Arj, hey Arj, welcome. I bought a used PM calcium reactor. PM, is that a brand? CO2 regulator, two 20-pound CO2 tanks for 200 Canadian. Wow, that's good.
That's a steal.
Yep. No kidding. My eyes hurt.
Wow.
Stop. I don't want to stop, kids. Yeah, so true. Yeah,
Well,
when
I'm
we were
gonna have to drop out. Sorry.
oh, thanks for coming in, Benny. It's nice
No
to see
worries.
how things are looking, and we like the little clown show. That was good.
Thank you for
Tank,
having me.
tank looks
And I
great.
will. Thanks, man. It's still a work in progress. Hopefully in time it'll be as good as like yours.
Or they're
Oh,
never finished.
mine's nothing to look at right now.
Well, if anyone ever asks you if your tank is finished yet, the answer is they're never finished.
Never. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, guys.
All right, good night, Benny.
Have a good
Good
night. Bye
night.
bye now.
Yeah, when we were looking for a utility sink, I ended up with a laundry tub type sink, and it's back there in the corner in the alcove, and it has a single basin. It's an acrylic tub, and the sprayer on the tap is a hose with a metal end on it that has the sprayer. So it comes up from the back, it arcs over, and it's in a bracket. And then it's really easy. You
Hmm.
just pull it out of the bracket and press the button, and it sprays. And my husband said the cool thing is, if something happens with the hose, if it springs a leak or whatever, you can replace the hose, and you still have your tap.
Nice.
And with a sprayer, it's nice to have a sprayer, but it's different from when you have a sprayer in your kitchen sink. I think you use it for more things. When I'm doing equipment, it's basically just going to be to, I don't know, fill something up or who knows. But it's good to have anyway.
Yeah, I looked at. I was like, maybe I should get like a stainless steel, wash tub, like something that would be in like a kitchen or something at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was looking, I was like, wow, some of these are kind of cheap. And then I start reading, and I go, oh, well, it's some really low grade of stainless steel that rusts. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the first
I think
power
I'll
head
just
you
stick
drop,
with the plastic one because
yeah, the first power head you drop is going to make a nick in the surface of the steel and it'll rust as soon as you dent it. And what I'm thinking of doing is on the wall above my sink, I'd like to get a magnetic sheet of something and fasten it to the wall and then put my magnetic rails on there. Not a magnetic sheet of something, a sheet of something that a magnet will stick to, like not aluminum or whatever, but something a magnet will stick to. Put my magnetic rails on, and I can hang all my tools right above my sink. So that's what I'm going to do. Instead of
nice.
a backsplash, I'm going to just put, well, my backsplash will be metal of some type. Deep Reef says, so much science, so much still unproven. Effects of increasing or decreasing phosphates, that'd be a discovery. Yeah. Yeah, you could if you had enough time in the facility to do it. And, there's so many variables. Every take is different. And that's the problem because you can't,
Yeah.
it's hard to make it a controlled environment so that your results can be replicated. And then the replication would have to happen in exactly the same controlled environment. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I I watch some of the scientific community. Like, I follow a lot of ecologists and biologists, and I read some of their papers that go into preprint. And when any time an experiment is getting brought in, just the amount of things that have to be taken into account to try and make a controlled environment
Yeah.
is very challenging. And part of the problem I always see with our reefs is that because the biodiversity is uh, so vast,
Mm-hmm.
controlling something like, all right, well, we want to experiment with phosphate. Well, can you? Is it the phosphate alone, or are there other microorganisms that are involved with that, or macro ones that how those things all interact, those food webs and everything are so complicated. That's why I think a lot of times when I think that has a lot to do with where one person tries a method and it works great for them, and another person tries the exact same method and it fails.
Mhm.
There's just too many variables that there's something there. Maybe there's some form of bacteria or, you know, copepod or ostracod or amphipod in that system that's not in the other, and that's
Or
what's
when
making
you're
a difference.
or when you're adding something, you hold the dropper vertical and they hold the dropper like this. You know that, and I learned that lesson with the coral essential stuff that I dose, because for whatever reason the viscosity of one of them is different than the others, and if you hold the dropper upright it runs out in like really fast. So I was holding it on an angle, but the drops are bigger, so I ran out of the
Mhm.
one type before the others, and I thought, what's this? Like, why did this happen? And so I was, when I was dropping it in one day, I went, well, that's why. And I think it was because right before that, I had been doing some kind of a test, and it said, I think it was an ammonia test. Make sure you hold the bottle vertical to get the drops consistent. And I thought, well, there it is right there. So even something as basic as technique, and it's
Yeah.
not even much of a difference in technique, it can make a huge difference in results and the effects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the air quality of your house, the or where you live, you
Hmm.
know, that it's it's mind-boggling the way some of that stuff could go. Just like I first, you know, I've never been a big quarantine person, which everybody now is probably going to go into a holding tank for a month without medication to be observed is the plan. But you know, sometimes I look at quarantine procedures and I go, you know, you can't have the tanks in the same room. They got to be separated because it's already been proven, you know, pathogens could get airborne in water droplets. Uh, anytime anything is taught, you know, like there has to be separate sets of tools for everything, nets, cups.
Yeah.
Uh, you can't work on one tank, you go to the other and touch it. You know,
Yeah.
it could be really strict to do it properly. And then not only that, but you know, everyone quarantining fish is a big deal, and corals have gotten much more that into uh, trend as well for quarantining them.
Mm.
But you know, snails, macroalgae. I mean, at literally everything. If you were going to do it right, everything would have to go through like a 90-day period in a holding tank.
Yeah. So you quarantine your hermit crabs for 90 days and you put them in the tank, and the triggerfish scarfs them all
And
down.
I mean, yeah, and you're like, well, I got this hair algae problem I need sea urchins for, but I got to wait 3 months before I could put them in if I really want to hold to it. And it's not to say
Yeah.
I have to do that, but it's just I always find
You're breaking up, Alex. I think you froze. Yeah. Johnny Martinez has a good comment here. All the remarks we're making about the hobby. I did many, many hours and years diving, tears in my eyes seeing the reefs dying and bleaching. Us reefers just may have the knowledge to share. Yeah, it's got to be worth something. I think you froze, Alex. Oh, he's gone. All right. Well, I don't know if Alex is coming back, but I think it's time for the new year. ReefGrrl shows off the grandson. We got a new grandson video, and this is really cute. And I know you're all indulging me, so I'll play it for you. This is from last week. I don't know what my daughter asked him, but this was his answer. He's going to be 1 in a couple of days, 1 year old. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, and you know who taught him that. So there's Alex back. Hey, Alex.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi died.
Oh dear. That's all right. I had a little interlude where I had everybody held hostage while I did the grandson 9-second video. Anyhow. So it's yeah. So do you have like do you give yourself a budget for this stuff that you do?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you'd have to at the scale that you're working at.
Like right now, I have budgeted for everything I need in the fish room.
Hmm.
Uh, Once I get done with that, I'll kind of reassess things. Uh, and I probably said it on here before, but I'm sure there might be different people. Always be honest with your spouse,
Yep.
husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it may be. Tell them the truth of what you are going to be spending on your aquarium.
Yep.
It will not. It will not. It will hurt you a lot more if you lie.
Yeah.
So,
That's the worst kind of secret to keep. It really is.
yeah.
Oh my God, Phil.
Uh-oh.
Johnny Martinez. Yes, I did, Johnny. I'm proud to say Phil is just found out he's gonna be a grandpa. Exciting. That's great.
Exciting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's cool. Yeah, with the money thing, I mean, it's another aspect of upsizing what you're doing, right? I mean, my skimmer, it's a $2,000 skimmer, and that's a lot of money for me. It's like a lot of money for anybody.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
my pumps are like $1,400 a piece, and I'm getting two. Even the rocks and the sand and the couple other things that I got on Boxing Day was $1,000. $1,000 for stock tanks. And it boggles the mind, and you don't want to add it up. But like I said, it's money that I've been preparing to spend. So, and that's not even the tank yet or the stand, right? It's insane.
yeah. It adds up quick, and like with mine, a lot of the stuff I acquired in my last build. So I already have a good chunk of what I need to do, what I'm doing in the fish room.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to the displays,
Mm-hmm.
my most expensive thing, the canopy and the stand will have an expense. But the glass is going to be a very large expense for me.
Yeah. And are you at all concerned about this? Apparently, there's a shortage of float glass right now. Or have you run into that at all?
I haven't even looked because one of the things I have dedicated myself to is that I will get this fish room 100% operational with all components before I start working on the stand and the canopy for the displays.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is too is that the method that I'm looking to build the displays with, the glass is like the very last thing I need. Because the canopy is going to be supported by columns that are built into the stand.
Oh, yeah.
So the glass is literally just going to be filling in the space between the canopy beams and the bottom of the stand.
Right.
So I could build the whole thing without glass, which will probably be the best anyways, because then I can make sure when I give the glass person the measurements I want, they will be precise.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, and if it takes a while to get the glass, or it just takes a while, I'm not going to get too concerned about it.
Yeah. And
So
that's kind of how I'm feeling right now about ordering the tank, because we've gone through a lot of preliminaries with drawings, discussing a stand. Initially, I wanted an aluminum stand, and then I found out it's going to be outrageously expensive, and only one tank maker, can do it for me. And that tank maker was the price. They're good quality, like they do a good job. The price was beyond what, I mean, even if I added 20% to what I originally got quoted, is still too much.
yeah, I'm looking forward to my interactions with different aquarium manufacturers and glass companies when
yeah,
I tell them what I want, because
yeah,
I'll we'll see who comes up with what. The
mm,
last time I looked at glass, the local glass shops I called were laughably expensive, like 3 to 4 times what it cost me to buy it from an aquarium
yeah.
manufacturer.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too where aquarium manufacturers, I mean, my glass is going to be 5/8 inch, and not many local glass stores can give me a 60 by 60 6 piece for the bottom, right? They're not going to be able to get that. I mean, the sides are smaller, but you know what I mean? So it's one of those sourcing things if they are able to get access to it. So I think what they do is they don't know. So they jack the price to make sure that what they don't know isn't going to cost them their profit. And they figure if you accept it, then great, they're going to make a ton of money. If you don't accept it, then they've avoided a lot of risk. So,
Well, and the other thing is too is like I remember my first tanks calling around locally for 3/4 inch thick glass, and just I had at least 1 or 2 glass companies that like one of them was like, we don't even handle that. Like we won't mess with it. That's too much.
yeah.
And then they're like, go with something thinner. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work that way with
No,
aquariums.
not quite.
So it'll be a fun thing, and we'll see who I have what I eventually do to land on it. Because
Yeah.
the more fun part is going to be getting the glass up the stair or down the stairs.
Oh,
Because my staircase, has a landing.
yeah. That
So
turn. Well, luckily I
that,
don't have to do that because my room is right by the front door, and my tank is only going to be 21 inches deep. So
oh,
it's it can go through the door sideways. Thank goodness. Oh, hey, Deep Reef has a question. Why did you go with the Orphec LEDs for your new setup? It's because when the Orphec OR light bars came out, one of the reasons I bought them is that they got really good reviews for quality, and the price was right. Because when I bought my OR 120s, and the 120 is the length, they're 48 inches. They're just the bars, the different blues. I got blue plus. Yeah, blue plus. Good reviews for quality, and the price on those things, it was approximately $300 for 2 of them. And I couldn't even get one Reef Bright for that price. So initially, the reason I got them was that they were really good value for money. And if I can get value for money, I'll go with that every day of the week. Even if it's spending a lot of money, if I feel like it's good value for that money, then I'm all for it. So when it came time to plan this tank, I wanted to go with Orphec because when I got those lights, and I did a video about it. I'm not sure if you've checked that one out. The ReefGrrl Sees the Light. It's got a pink Goniopora thumbnail. When they arrived, I was astounded at the quality. They're amazing. And my corals responded to them. I love how my tank looks with them. So the other thing was that I had a Kessel AP700 on my tank, which I also really liked. But I started to realize that the puck style of LED fixture had issues with shadowing and things like that. And I know that a lot of the LEDs people use now are the puck style. It's something that was relatively new when the AP700 first came out, because I think Kessel was one of the first to come out with those little can lights, which were essentially, point source lights with an array of LEDs. So you get a little bit of color blending and whatever. I'm not really expert on all of the details of what they were like initially, because I thought they were too expensive. So when I got my tank and I thought, okay, I got a really nice tank, I'm going to spend the money. So I got this AP700, and it has those puck style LED arrays in it. And like I said, when I had my very first tank, or second or third tank, anyway, it was a 29-gallon cube, I used Chinese black box lights, which are an array of LEDs. The light off of those things, not only for the coral growth and for looking at the tank, but for getting video of the tank, was always amazing. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with the fact that this was an array of light, which spread the light out much more evenly. So when I got the Orfex and I loved them, I thought, okay, I did a bit of research and I learned that Orfec also has panel lights. I mean, they're really well known in everywhere in the world except here in North America. And they're used in a lot of institutional aquariums and other things. They do a lot of different kinds of lighting. And I mean, they don't sponsor me. I just love their product. I'm very impressed right from day one. And I consider them very good value for money. So I got 2 Atlantic V4 Gen 2s for the new build. And my plan is and I checked with their consultant about what I would need for my 60 by 66 space, because I'm also taking the OR2s and I'm going to run them down the sides. And I have 2 other cheap AliExpress light bars that Telegram found and was talking about on his channel. And he was very impressed because he takes his stuff apart and he uses spectrometers to check what the output is and all that kind of stuff. So he gets the data to show what's going on with the lights. And he was super impressed with these AliExpress because they were so inexpensive. So I grabbed a couple of those while they were still available, and I've had them for over a year. And I'm going to have a perimeter of 4 bar lights, and 2 will be the AliExpress cheapos, and 2 will be the Orfec OR2s. And in the center of that, I'm going to have the 2 V4s running side to side, one behind the other. And that's going to give me the coverage that I need for my whole space. And it'll be Orfec except for those 2 bars. So once again, I did get a good price. They had a sale on at the time, and they did a deal for me. So they finally arrived, and the way we're going to hang them is going to be a little bit different than probably we've seen people do. That's because my canopy is going to be something nobody else has really done that I know of. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they look like when they're over the tank, because the V4s are programmable. They use a gateway to join them together, so you can program them to act the same or act different, from what I know. So if I wanted the sun to come up over there in the east, then I just have the front one and then go down in the west. I could do that. So I don't know if I will, but I might. So yeah, that's why. I mean, I guess that was instead of the 10-second answer, I could have just said good value for money. That was a 10-minute answer, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do over the tank. The Kessels did a good job, but that puck style of LED array, I think you need more lights to get the right kind of coverage. And that's kind of where I made the decision to switch back to a panel style. How about you, Alex? Are you thinking ahead yet for lights?
Well, I've got a couple of ideas, and I am not ruling any brands off the table because kind of like what you said with the panels, and I like that those Orfax are pretty nice. I've got Radions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hybridizing with T5s before, but I'm kind of thinking that my tentative plan right now will be to get some lighting for the displays. Uh, and then I'll use all my radions on the frag tank that I have more than likely. And then I'm going to get some new lighting on the big tanks.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a tentative strategy of, I think I'm going to, instead of just buying a ton of lights that really won't be utilized much uh, in most of the display, just because I just will not be able to fill it with coral very quickly. I'm kind of
Right.
thinking that I'm going to kind of light in stages and then maybe use some LED strips for filler light in between areas.
Yeah.
Um, and then we'll see, because I will need quite a few lights for my displays, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be shopping for a deal, because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell Sophie, like, Paul, I know how much your lights are, but I'm not paying that if I'm buying this many of them.
Yeah. Well, when I initially thought of setting this up, I was going to go with a 72-inch tank, and then I realized that it wasn't going to work in this room. And at that time, because it was going to always be a deep tank front to back, I thought I needed 6 of these things. But at that time, I wasn't thinking of using the bar lights. And Chase V Reefing, everybody, check it out. He has a YouTube channel now. He's building a 250, or he's got a 250 that he's working on. He has his setup with bar lights around the perimeter. And as soon as I saw that, I went, perfect. That would work, because you get that fill in along the sides. Mine's going to be Euro braced. So the fact that I can get some extra light along the sides is a good thing, because I do want to have a lot of solitary polyp corals and large cinerenas and things like that on the sand. And that would be a great way to light them, is just having that extra fill in. And so that's, he's the one that did the perimeter idea that I thought was such a good layout. Hey, WV Reefer, welcome. He has got his copper band eating mastic. Cool. That's great.
Yeah, I think one thing too I'm gonna definitely toy around with is, for the parts of the display where it makes sense, is I'm going to use lighting to create some shadowing effects.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, some places because that's a problem I had, is low light corals. Where do you put them? You can put them on the sand, but sometimes even the sand is too much. You don't always want to push them out to the edges for other reasons. So yeah.
I'm planning, because one thing I really want to try and do with this tank, and hopefully be successful with it, is I really would like to try some other. I've never really messed around too much with non-photosynthetic stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to. But what I want to do for that is, I'm gonna do underhangs, but I'm going to prepare them so that the rocks could be removed, or frag plugs could be like pre-drilled and everything, so
Yeah.
I could get something secured to a plug and then hook it in there, up, on a side or upside down, and then it's not going to be a, how the heck do I get into,
Yeah.
take this on and off. I just put it on and be done with it.
Yeah, and if you set up your feeding so that you've got lots of planktonic type foods, and the flow is taking it where it needs to go, then you're not going to have to worry about spot feeding. because I've had sun corals before and I really like them. But man, the number of times I was, hanging over the tank at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to drop mysis onto these things while the shrimp are closing in, like it just. So you've got to have a setup where the food will go to them in a reliable way that they can take it up.
I think that'll be something as the tank matures a bit, because the way I'm going to run this is the big fish area of the display is going to be first, because the water flow is all going to go. I've decided there will be a single return line on this tank.
Wow.
And it's going to be at one end of the tank, and the overflows are going to be on the opposite end of the tank. So the water will have to flow through the entire system.
Yeah.
But between my refugium and all the other tanks back here that are going to be producing zooplankton, and I have the space here. I'll probably toy around with trying to make an automatic phytoplankton reactor, or maybe some copepod reactors too. And I figure between all that, if it's getting dumped in, it gets dumped into a big fish area where there's not a lot of copepod predators in the first place.
Yeah.
That those populations will explode in that tank too, which will in turn all go into the reef tank next door. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, talking about maturity, I think that is what
we'll see. That's a long ways off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's where I was reaching with the Red Sea, was the maturity. Because I would look in there with a flashlight at night and the water would be thick with particulates. And the particulates were, they were alive. They'd be on the glass, they'd be everywhere. And the coral, especially the acropora, the polyps were all out, the threads were all out. And I really think that was the demonstration of the maturity of that tank, was all of this life was hatching, living, surviving. In the morning I'd go in and the water would be crystal clear. But boy, oh boy, at 1 a.m., shining a flashlight down, it would be through a cloud of stuff. Like and where does it come from? I didn't put it in. It had to have hatched in the tank. And I didn't have fish that were digging up the sand and flipping things around. Well, the pistol shrimp, but didn't have him towards the end. And it wouldn't, at front left, wouldn't be generating all of this stuff over the top of the rocks that was essentially coming out of the return. It was just pretty, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the nighttime on a mature aquarium, when you start to see that much stuff floating around, is why I kind of go, if I can get it to where it's at that point, do I have to worry about target feeding anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, because really you're just adding to the nutrients where maybe you have to because of uptake by the corals, but on the other hand, it's a risk, because if they get out of control, then you start having those other nutrient related problems.
Well, my strategy will be, if I start having nutrient issues, I'm just gonna keep turning up or adding lights to the refugium tank.
Yeah, that's true. You can do that for sure.
So,
yeah.
And then, but I am going to purchase a second UV sterilizer.
Yeah.
Probably won't get that. I might wait until the displays are close to being done, and then I'm going to add a second one.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Blue Carbon Reefing's video about his sterilizer, it's got its own.
Yeah, he's got like that 4-bulb monster or something.
Yeah, it's got its own zip code. That thing, it's huge. Yeah, he built a stand for it, and when I saw the stand, I'm just going, wow.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna get another a Pentair UV sterilizer. I've been real happy with the one I have. So,
is that like a water treatment grade, like commercial grade brand?
Yeah, Pentair does a lot of aquaculture solutions.
Right.
So basically, I had like kind of the one I had was the biggest normal home aquarium one that was easily available.
Hmm.
And then I want to, because that's an 80-watt high output. And then I want to move to I want to add 150-watt high output on top of that.
Hmm.
So,
Cool.
and beyond that, they get into really heavy like public aquarium grade.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
good night, Johnny Martinez. Glad you could be here tonight. Hey, Camaro Kid. Yeah, Camaro Kid, Alex is asking what size you're doing. And Phil is telling him he hasn't said other than a pond liner with a glass rod.
that's just for the frag tank. That doesn't that's not what the display will be.
You know, and I think of things too, like you're also limited by what the heck size truck do they need to bring a ginormous piece of glass? You know, like there's got to be limitations. If you wanted to build a 20-foot tank, like how would they transport that glass? 3/4 or an inch thick? Like,
They need a crane.
yeah, maybe. Oh, Camaro Kid is saying same as last two or bigger. I think the safe answer is bigger. Phil says you already know Alex is going all out. Yeah, crazy man.
I will say it will be bigger than the last two displays combined. So,
That's awesome.
as I tell everybody, use your imagination.
Yeah, yep. And you
It'll
probably won't guess.
it'll become more fun when I actually get to build the displays and come on these live streams and have someone say, "Show us your tank, Alex." I'll be like, "All right, hold on," and I'll hold the camera about an inch away from the stand, or I'll be like, "There it is."
Or you set a Coke can on it for scale. Oh man, that's hilarious.
I got to have some fun with it. So
Yeah.
I'm really thinking that if I can actually keep it a secret, we'll see. Because I eventually, I'm hoping by the time I need to get glass that it will be safe for people to come over again, and they can help me move the glass. I won't lie though, I think I'm going to build a block and tackle pulley system in my staircase
Yeah.
to help pick up the glass and ease it down the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, even for stability, if nothing else, and take some of the weight off and to manage it. Camaro Kid has said he's just opening the cellar door and filling the basement with water. Hey, listen, we've joked about waterproofing a living room and turning it into an aquarium.
There are some freshwater folks that have done that ultra serious, got a excavator out and dig out, but I'm not quite at that level.
Well, and the thing about it is that unless you live on the ocean, the plumbing for salt water on that kind of a scale would be a nightmare. Like if you live on the ocean and you could do water exchange, that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
Well, my planned drain line's going to be 4 inches this time, so
Oh boy. I thought I was going big at 1.5.
that's going to be the return line. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to when I get the frag tank running with the 265 sump. I'm going to fire up the Abyss and use that to run it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the Abyss does. I don't think I'll be able to turn it up to full power just because I don't think I'm gonna make enough drains to put that much water through.
You can't tell me you haven't thought about getting that sucker out of the box, putting it in the bathtub, filling it up and just turning it on to see whether it can hit the ceiling.
To be honest, oh, I know it would. I'm more considering in the springtime getting a garbage can and putting a 10-foot pipe on it and, making a fountain in my backyard to like just to see the neighbors or something. Because
What's he
I
doing now?
already know my wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?"
I
Oh,
can tell you from experience, the way it works is you got to make sure that pipe is really straight
no,
so that the water
connection's going in and out a bit.
Oh yeah, a little. So the water comes straight back down into the garbage can because 40 gallons seems like a lot of water until you shoot it 10 feet in the air and it starts blowing.
Well, see, I don't think I've ever seen it in person, but Abiz does something where they set up like a 20 or 30-foot tower at the fish shows,
Hmm.
and they put an Abiz 400 on there, and it'll shoot water all the way to the top of that. So that's what I'm thinking. If I stick a 10-foot pipe on it,
You should get some air out of that one.
Someone's gonna see a fountain going over a 2-story house next door and be like, "What the heck is going on?"
Oh yeah, that's right. Because if you can reduce the pipe, that would be awesome. Like you could get it shooting way up. That'd be funny.
I always,
Sorry.
oh, I was gonna say, I always thought it'd be a cool. You know how you see those water jets that they'll like shoot like arches and different things.
Yeah.
I always thought that would be a really cool return pump idea, is to have one of those like shooting that bead of water.
Straight
Like,
away.
how's your sump tank connect to that with a return line and just have the water shooting over the top? I don't know how those nozzles would hold up in salt water, but I gotta say that would be a cool. Be like, we're doing the pipeless return is what we're doing now.
Yeah, no return lines to clog up. I guess you'd have to be prepared for a lot of evaporation. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Camaro Kid, Alex did manage to salvage, I think, both pieces of glass, the 480 and the 720.
Yep.
And he's just asking if you were able to reuse any of the old glass. So you did salvage it, and
Yeah, it's a bit dirty, but the reef tank, the front of the tank's right here. So this glass is going to go into this tank.
Mm-hmm. The frag tank.
The frag tank.
Frag tank, everybody.
And then the 720s glass is right there and ends over here.
Yeah.
And since I have the glass, the stand, and the four or the three bracing walls, technically four because I cut one in half, I'm going to rebuild the 720. And the 720 will be right here is the plan, right? Well, yeah, the 720 is going to be here, and that's going to be the refugium for my aquarium.
Yeah, that was in your video. Everybody check out the video to get a sense of what's going to happen here. That's cool.
Yeah, so, yep, and then the skimmer's going to stick around. It's got to get turbocharged. So,
it's upside down right now, right?
Yeah, it's one of those projects that I wanted to do. This is all of it because I had to use the router to do it, but originally this was taller, and what I realized is, another inch or so of gravity would have been very useful in this thing's operation at the old house.
Right.
Because the collar of the skimmer was like right at the level of the main drain, and that made it fairly difficult to control. So this time around, I'm going to make sure that all my drain lines are much higher, so I'll be able to push a lot more water through the skimmer this time around.
Cool.
And it's going to be, we'll see what other modifications I end up going with, but I might increase the size of the needle wheel impeller pumps, or I might one of them I'm going to replace and put a newer pump on, and then I'm considering also buying a very large air pump, and then not only using needle wheels but also injecting air in directly too. So
Cool. Wow.
So yes, I will be reusing a lot of the old stuff. The old 150 will be back at home on its stand too.
Nice.
So
Well, we have an electrician coming over tomorrow to put an additional plug in by the sump area, and it's going to be on a 20 amp breaker, and that's what we're using for the heater, the water heater, because
Nice.
we don't have any 20 amp plugs in the basement. I guess there's a bunch in the kitchen because that's what they do. But we never realized we should probably have asked them for a 20 amp plug down in that sump area. So we're getting the guy to come over tomorrow and run a plug off of the panel that's specifically for the water heater, because it draws 12.74 amps. No, 12.3 amps.
That sounds about right.
Yep. And the we're going to get a Grundfos circulating pump, and it pulls 0.74.
Yeah, those things
Well,
hardly
actually,
pull anything.
Yeah, it's actually the water heater is 11.3, because I remember this because I know that 12 amps is kind of the cutoff for a 15 amp breaker. So if the water heater and the pump come on at the same time, the breaker could pop. So that's why we want to get a 20 amp, because that gives us that flexibility where we're not going to run into that problem.
Yeah, my dehumidifier is gonna get a dedicated 20 run for it.
Yeah.
Because the dehumidifiers I'm looking at all draw between 9 and 13 amps or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, because the fish room though, I'll never use what power I have here, because I'm gonna there's two 15 amp circuits on this side, and then the other side of the furnace and hot water heater, there's another two 15 amp circuits. So everything's split out to boxes, and then as I get aquarium equipment in, I'll run some conduit down to them and put in all the outlets I need. But 4 circuits down here is a lot. So
Yeah. Well, I ran my entire fish room on one breaker and one 15 amp breaker when I had the Red Sea. And we discovered when we mapped all of the outlets in the house that one of the hallway plugs, the upper of the 2 plugs, was also on the same circuit as the fish room. So we never used it because, I mean, that's where we would plug the vacuum in, right? And vacuum cleaners are notorious for popping breakers when there's too much else on them.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, they had a pretty good draw on them when they get done.
And so we learned all of this stuff with the Red Sea tank, with the advanced planning that we did to get that fish room set up. So when we did the electrical planning for this house, we thought we had it pretty much covered. But one thing we did not look into before doing those plans was the water heater. We it never occurred to us. So once we got it and we looked at the amperage on it, was 11.34, something like that. All I know is it's just a hair over 12. And so had we known that ahead of time, we probably would have had them put a 20 down there. But oh well.
Yeah. No, it's definitely something that's got to be considered in the bigger tanks, is what level of power you go with. And then I'm going to buy full protected breakers with AFCI, GFCI, and
Yeah.
I think they have surge on them now too.
Yeah.
So it's just one more thing. So if I pop one, I'll make sure everything's plugged in to where I won't lose it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because that was the other thing. It's fine. I mean, I have GFCIs in this room behind the tank. I have two four gang plugs, and that's because my equipment's going to be segregated. The power heads and stuff on the right side are going to be plugged in on the right, and the power heads and stuff on the left side are going to be plugged in on the left. Like I said before, no cords crossing at the back. But the thing is, we know from the other house that if they're on the same circuit and one of the GFCIs pops, then the other one's going to go off. But there's a way that you can have them wired so that that doesn't happen. So that not only do you not lose all of the equipment, like have it shut down because one pops and then the other one pops, you'll be able to identify which side popped, so narrow down which piece of equipment it was that caused it. So we'll see. We'll see if that works out or not. I don't know.
yeah, it's like anything else. Once you get it all up and running, just do testing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's the nature of my professional line of work. That's a lot of what has to happen sometimes is you basically cause a catastrophic type of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sit back and watch, you go, well, did it get engineered right and the backups work or not so much?
Yeah.
So,
that's the only way to learn emergency planning. Yeah.
yeah. I have decided though, with my radiant heating system, I'm going to make 2 loops of hot water.
Oh.
I'm going to use one's going to sit in the sump that's going to go there. Well, it'll go in that sump first, but eventually the sump that's here, it'll go in. But I'm going to run a second loop. I'm going to run it over to the water storage tanks that are going to be used for water changes over here, so that when I have a water change, because it's going to be, right now I'm looking at 250-gallon water storage tanks to go back here.
Wow.
So
what percentage of your display would that be for water change, Alex?
that would be an algebra question for which I can't provide X, Y, and Z.
I thought I could trick you because you were tired. I thought I could trick you into revealing something. Oh, well.
Yeah. So, but I'm thinking I'm going to run a second loop and put it on a separate temperature controller and recirculating pump.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will be what I use over here to heat those tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think with just by making sure I got check valves on each one of the loops, it won't be able to flow through, especially wherever I put the flow pump and stuff. I'll make sure it can't backflow through the other loop.
Right.
So, but that's the plan. I'm still kind of getting used to the fact that it's like a giant white wall now and not like studs. It looks a lot better. So.
Oh yeah, it'll just look so much cleaner.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Once I think I'm gonna probably silicone or tape all the seams on here. It'll get cleaned up. It'll look a little nicer. The ceilings are still gonna. It's always gonna look this way, but
yeah.
you.
So Alex, you've heard of Prestige Reef, right? The guy in Britain, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen any of his videos about his mega build? Because he dexterized a room as well. It's all white. And, he did it for much the same reasons as you, for moisture and to be able to manage the humidity and the temperature and all of that. And his decision was to heat the room to the temperature he needed. So he has no heaters. He just heats his room to that temperature.
Well, it's one of those interesting things of you could heat the room, um, and so, again, another aspect of my professional life is dealing with industrial cooling, uh, for critical type equipment. And I guess when I've worked with things like, hundreds of tons of cooling in facilities, that's always a very interesting thing of how do you heat or cool things. And a lot of times a lot of the strategy is come into is not trying to necessarily control all the air's temperature, but trying to mitigate heat or something being too cool at the source.
Mm-hmm.
So they both work though, especially if you got a good closed room that you could hold it. My thing is always your equipment is going to be putting out a lot of heat too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Plus, you don't exactly have an enclosed area. I think his area looks like it might be, I want to say maybe 10 by 15 feet.
Oh, so like,
yeah,
like this
part.
half.
That part of it, exactly.
I'm so I hate to say I'm very spoiled with this basement, but I just look at the fact that my old tanks are basically going to get built in here, and I could probably put like 3 of them in here if I really pack stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very fortunate to have this space.
Yeah.
To be able to build this. So.
And honestly, I feel so lucky also to have the space that I have, because it's in the half of the basement that really would just have been storage. So, we've got the space to finish a bedroom. That we do have a finished room. And then off of that room, we have 2 doors, and they go to the back part of the basement at the back of the house. And one of them will eventually be a bedroom, and the other is going to be my husband's workshop. And when we had them finish the main room, we had them put the 2 doors in, but they both lead to the same space right now, because we'll put a wall eventually between those 2 doors, but that way we got to have the doors finished at the same time as the finished room, and it just looks nice. And so we can close those doors and it all looks good. And then ultimately, when we get around to finishing those areas, they'll already have nice frame doors on them. And it's just one less thing we have to worry about at that time. So the space that I have is space that would just have been used to store stuff or be empty. So I'm really lucky I can use it.
We've basically decided the garage is where everything's being stored now. So there won't be. That's why I was like, because originally I looked at this room and I go, well, I could store some stuff here. And then I just went, nah. Well, I'll take it back. There'll be storage shelves for aquarium stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, there have to be. It has to be handy.
Yeah, I'm hoping though between. I'll just be interested to see how my humidity control scheme works here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm very confident it will be fine. But we'll, like anything, just gotta test things and find out.
Yeah. Well, because something will come along that you didn't anticipate and couldn't have anticipated. And, then that's another problem to solve.
Yeah, and I decided to go with the whole house dehumidifier just because it seemed like the old dehumidifier was the most effective thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, the poor dehumidifier I used to run at the old house is, it's like 20 now. Its life is done. It probably should have been left out in front of the house for the scrap guy, but you know, I was like, I'll just keep it for a little backup right now. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you ever have a water spill and
yeah,
it's
something little
wide
like
spread.
that.
Yeah.
But with the whole house one that's ducted, I could pull air through it more efficiently.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of turned this one into a ducted one by closing off where it can pull air from.
I remember that
But
video. I remember that video.
yeah, I was like, well, hey, it worked. It kept my humidity under control.
Yep.
So plus it should heat things, and you know, I don't want the humidity too low in here. I'm gonna probably try and keep it about 50%.
Yeah.
Is what I'm gonna go for, which is it's comical because when we were buying the house, they're like, "Do you want to purchase a humidity or a humidifier for your furnace?" And I was like, "No." Like, you sure? And I go, "No, trust me, I'll have more humidity than I know what to do with."
Yeah, it was the same thing. Well, our furnace was supplied with a humidifier, so it has it, and that's kind of good because it's winter, and right now the humidity in the basement we have a thing. It's like yours is somewhere around 43,
Yeah,
and upstairs is around 46, so it's kind of low, but it's not bad.
it's definitely a little lower than what I'm used to. And,
Yeah.
but hey, as long as I can keep this room controlled, I'll be happy.
Yeah, because really it's damage. You want to avoid damage to your house. That's the main
Yeah.
thing. And you don't want condensation getting into places that could cause electrical problems or, corrosion or whatever. Like, you got to think about it. Or
Yeah.
mold. You don't want mold either, right?
No, and that's the main reason for the plastic in here is that whatever humidity is coming in here is that I don't want the house to absorb it.
Yeah.
I want it to be absorbed. I want it to go through the dehumidifier and get regulated to a level that's acceptable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which
for sure.
that's going to be more important than ever with the displays, is just because they're in a remote part. There'll be a duct running from this area through. This corner here, I'm going to put a hole through it. And there's going to be electrical, drain lines, ventilation lines. There's going to be a lot of stuff going through there, and then I'll make a step or something decorative for it on the other side, and then
Yeah.
that'll all run up to the canopy or the drain lines and the displays, and then that's going to be how I'm going to create my negative pressure in the canopy by sucking the air out of it
Yeah.
and sealing it off. I'm probably going to seal the canopy on the displays pretty good with weather stripping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just going to put some louvers on it to where when it's pulling air, it's pulling air from the main room out. So when the dehumidifier's in here, it'll pull air out of the canopies of the refugium, the frag tank, and the displays. So it'll negative pressure them and positive pressure this room, which will push that air into the rest of the basement.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hmm.
see, it's all that fun science stuff.
Oh, I know. Should work. Should work.
It's so easy, even he could do it.
Oh boy. Well, I guess I should say good night. Oh my goodness, it's after midnight.
Yeah.
Time flies, man. I'm glad to be back. Hopefully on a regular schedule for the next little while. And I should have said this sooner. If anyone's on the replay, thank you for being on the replay. But I'm going to be Reef Bum's guest next Thursday on Rapping with Reef Bum. So if you already follow him, great. Watch for that. If you don't, check him out. Reef Bum, just like it sounds, ReefBum. And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, I should. I just have to be careful what I. because I talk a lot. All right. Thanks, Alex.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. And good luck with everything you're working on there. And I guess we'll see you soon again with more progress.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Have a good night. Good
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, good night, everybody. Good night, Phil. Thanks for staying right to the end. I appreciate it. And I think we're out. Good night to you all. And yeah, so Thursday night on Reef Bum, and then we'll see you next Saturday right back here. Maybe I'll have more news. Maybe I'll have an unboxing video of the stuff I still haven't got out of its boxes. Okay. Good night. Thanks for joining in.